Welcome back to the Motion Boardshop podcast. I'm Nate, as always, here with our producer Kyle and our very legendary guest today. This is Dennis Manougian. I don't know how to say your last name. I've known you for. Did I do okay?
That was close. It's Manougian.
Manougian?
Yeah.
Okay. But people in Seattle call you a different name, which is Dennis The Menace, which is how I originally met you from a website called Northwest Longboarding, which was a super long time ago. Like at least a decade ago, I knew that you were cool because my buddy Dave was like, I rode Alpental with this guy who was so fast and like he had all black leathers. And I remember just being like, this dude must be so fast. He's got a nickname in the longboarding scene. Like, I've got to meet him. And it took a while to happen, but eventually it did happen. And like, I just wanted to talk to you about like how long you've been longboarding and what you're doing now with longboarding and where you're going to be going. So I mean, you've been around Seattle's longboarding scene as long as I have. So like, where did it start for you?
When I first started riding, I was riding by myself. I didn't even know that there were other people that rode around here. So that was probably 1996, 97. I got my first longboard.
Do you know what it was?
It was a Sector 9 Cosmic 42-inch, and it had pivot trucks with the, like, blue, I can't even remember the name of the wheels, but they were, like, blue 70-millimeter wheels, kind of looked like a flashback, and, you know. I think they were probably like a 72 Duro, and they got coned real fast, and that was kind of, you know, just my first board. The first time I took that down a hill, I realized that, you know, these things are meant to go fast, and that was pretty much the end of it. So I was bombing hills, had a buddy of mine who kind of thought it was fun to watch me. He was always waiting for me to crash. He would take me up the hills, and I mean, that was really the start of it for me. I mean, the first time I actually saw it was in Biarritz. I was a big surfer at the time, and I was spending a lot of time heading out to the ocean here, and went to visit one of my cousins who was getting married. Went out to the ocean to check out the waves there, and was sitting there, and this guy comes ripping out of an alleyway on a longboard, and I thought, you know, I gotta get on one of those because it's, you know, had like the same kind of carvy feel effect to surfing, right?
Yeah. And so where were you surfing before you moved to Seattle?
So I've lived in Seattle all my life.
Okay.
And so I learned to surf out at Westport. And
oh my goodness.
I've done some surfing along, you know, the Olympic Peninsula out there, and you know, it's a long drive. It's a pretty big commitment to go out there.
I grew up in Hawaii, so surfing was a little different. It was very close. Yes. Both my parents lived within about 10 minutes of the ocean, and so when I moved to Seattle and people were like, are you going to surf here? I just was like, cold water, huge commitment, like, yikes. Yep. Like, you know, it's like a 3-hour drive to the ocean, and then, like, the surf's not always good. Like, it was different when you could, like, drive 3 minutes, look at the surf, and be like, oh, it's good today. Maybe I'll jump in, versus, like, 3-hour drive, you're going surfing when you get there.
You're committed. Yeah, and a lot of the time, you know, it was pretty rough out there, you know, because the conditions up here are not always perfect. But like I said, it was a super good time, and I learned how to ride, and at that point, you know, longboarding took over. You know, once I started getting into longboarding, that surfboard pretty much started collecting dust because it was so much easier to just go out the front door and bomb down the hill in the neighborhood. So
that's what did it for you.
That was
just
it.
Like,
yeah,
super easy. We were talking about how like 42-inch boards currently are like the longest boards on the planet, and people are like, why would you ride something like that? And it's like, that's what the good ones used to be, man.
Right.
Like 42-inch top mounts and stuff like that was as good as it got.
Well, you know, with those pivot trucks were like indies. And,
yeah,
you know, you had the front one, it had a wedge on it, and the back one was de-wedged, and, you know, that thing was, it was about as good as it could get. You know, you had to lengthen your wheelbase out to not get speed wobbles. You know, the longer your wheelbase was, the slower the speed wobbles would be. So
you'd get them, but they'd be like,
I remember seeing some pictures of the guy who owned Bike Factory, Bob Barcy, back in, like, the 70s, riding a stand-up board that was, you know, probably 5 feet long, you know, with Indy trucks on it.
Ripping
55 plus miles an hour on that thing. You know?
Was he standing in the center of the board or closer to the north?
Kind of center of the board and feet side by side, you know?
Dude, that crazy straightforward stance. You know who else freaks me out is Curtis Head.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that, I mean, obviously one day he'll be on the podcast, but Curtis Head has that side by side, like completely head first committed stance, and it just is like, whoa, that is a.
He swears by it. You know, the wind goes right between your legs.
He's.
You know, it's like a speed skier stance.
I mean, yeah, but Curtis is old. He's a large guy. He's at least my size, and he is flexible. Like he is.
Oh, absolutely.
Like leg over his head flexible, like doing the splits flexible. And so when he gets into his like side by side foot stance tuck and like leans forward, you're like, okay, that could be good for you. Like, was it Mount Tabor that he did really well at?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was doing that tuck pretty much all day long.
Yeah, like the Mount Tabor old school race, and someone's like, "That's not an old school tuck." He's like, "Well, I've been doing it longer than you've been alive, so it's pretty old school." Like,
He does a head first luge too.
Yeah, dude, him and then there's other Dan. There's another gentleman, Dan, from that group, and he did luge and head first luge. Him and his brother. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about.
Don't.
Curtis knows him, but yeah. So side by side foot stance. Like, did you ever get into that?
No.
Never.
No. The closest I got was kind of, you know, you have an old school race every once in a while where you got to keep your feet between, you know, toe in front of the back heel.
You got to be overlapped.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But that side by side, I'll fall over frontwards and back if I try to do that.
No, you're not. You're not gonna. Okay, good. Me too. I'm right there with you. So 1998, you're skating. How are you doing? Like, you're in Seattle? What are you bombing down? Like as far as hills go?
So, Issaquah Highlands.
Really?
You know the so before the Highlands was developed, there was that closed section now. That was the main entrance to the Highlands. It's I think you know what I'm talking about. It's like the back entrance to the Highlands where you go down Black Nugget Road.
Mm-hmm. And it goes right by the Home Depot at the bottom.
No, when you get up to the top, it's a really mellow hill. I think people use it for learning how to slide and stuff, but there's like wood posts on it now. You can maybe get 35 miles an hour.
Oh, wow. That was the original road to get into the Highlands.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. The original Black Nugget Road. And I know right where you're talking about. It's like right behind a school.
Right.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I would kick in from the top up there, take the left, and bomb down that hill. And, 32, 35 miles an hour. That's kind of what I was starting at.
That's kind of a big hill for like 1998. Like that's a large hill now. Like when I go down, like I'm kind of like, okay, don't go too fast because like you're gonna be bombing out into a street at the bottom. And so like you're going 35 miles an hour on TKPs, which scares me. I've never gone fast on like.
It was just a different time. You get used to what you're riding for the most part,
Oh.
Yeah, so there was that board, and then at the time there was this website called NCDSA, the North California Downhill Skateboard Association, and like Clutie was on there, all the pros at that time, I think Lee would be on there occasionally. At this time, Lee Danzy. I wasn't friends with Lee at the time, but.
No, but boy, the times changed.
Gary Hardwick, all like the old school fast guys from California were on the NCDSA, and I would kind of lurk on there and read about speedboarding. They had a specific speedboarding forum in there, and learn about what they were doing with their boards, and that's kind of where I started doing stuff up here. And I didn't really know anybody. It was just me bombing hills because it was kind of fun to do. Making your own gloves out of gardening gloves and cutting boards.
Okay.
And then
how would you affix them? Would you glue them or would you melt the cutting board down?
I would actually put screws through the backside of the glove and just put a couple pieces of duct tape over the backside.
So you'd screw into the actual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just put some washers on there, screw them through. It was super ghetto.
Buddy, I used to.
Back in the day.
Yeah, my mom has come out and yelled at me like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And it's just like me, black smoke coming out of the garage, and I'm melting down her cutting board that I've cut in half to like put on like a 3-pack of Home Depot gardening gloves for me and my friends. And she's like, "You're gonna get cancer." Like it's just like propane torch.
I can never get melting plastic.
They don't. Like that's not how you do it. But that's how I thought you did it. I'm not saying it was right. I'm just saying it was ghetto, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was like, they'd last for like one slide unless you hit like a blade of grass in the road, and then they just come ripping off. And later on, we figured out you could buy, the double stick Velcro, or you could just like Gorilla glue them on, and Gorilla Glue became the way. But to hear that you were screwing your pucks onto your gloves is like, obviously it's the way to do it because,
well,
you can't go anywhere.
Once you get down to the screws, though,
the original Flint
if
pucks.
There's no tape in that glove. Those screws get hot. They get hot.
How do you find that out?
Hot. They got hot.
They got really hot in the inside of your palms. Dude, do they spark?
A little bit, you know,
Okay.
not like the Flints though.
Oh, that'd be a really cool way to make it happen. And so like these gloves, are you like sliding with them or are you putting them down to like drift, like go around corners and take extra like
So I used to I don't know, I would do pendies, you know, big pendies, but it wasn't like pre-drifts back then. It would be like bombing down the hill and then you're gonna, you know,
you're
need to
gonna dump
stop,
it.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how it started. And then so, you know, I was doing that for a while. I was at a gas station where my friend worked, and you know, I was chatting it up with him, and some guys came through, and it was 1999, and they were going to the Red Bull downhill race, which was in West Seattle. The next day, they were there in town for it. So it was Gary Hardwick, Limo was with them. There was a couple other people, you know, I can't remember their names, like a lot of the old school guys. Rat Salt was there. So I'm at this gas station, and a friend of mine comes running in the back. He's like, "Hey, there's some guys here that are like pro downhill skateboarders, and they're talking about, you know, having this. They're going to be having a race tomorrow in West Seattle." And so I go out there, and you know, I meet Gary Hardwick. It's like this kind of random, you know, like this big downhill skateboarder guy just shows up.
Explain who that is, because like I don't know.
Okay, so Gary, he was just one of the fastest guys. I think he held the world record for quite a while. I'm not sure who holds it now, but he had 62-mile-an-hour world record in Guinness Book for, you know, through the 90s. And
That's
so
fast.
he was one of the California guys. And so the Terminal Speed Velocities was the name of his skateboard company. And I just had a chance to talk to him that day. He gave me his card. I went to the race the next day, and I watched the guys race, and it was basically downhill in its infancy. You know, like what we know
Describe
as
it.
downhill today. Motorcycle helmets with, you know,
like big bulky motorcycle,
motorcycle helmets and motorcycle leathers. A lot of duct tape.
a lot of baggy stuff.
Yeah, there was a few guys that had, you know, like biker and you know, the dregs guys. They had like tip top leathers, and they had all their shit dialed, right? But the majority of the other guys were wearing, you know, a lot of, you know, just regular,
Like you would expect.
like you would expect. Yeah. The thing that got me was one of the guys on his motorcycle helmet it was like one of those dog cones, but it was like backwards, you know, and it was made to be arrow, you know, off the back of his helmet.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember thinking to myself, man, these guys are just doing it, and they were, you know, 40 some miles an hour down the middle of the road up. I mean, it was not a very steep hill, but for how rough that pavement was.
Yeah,
you
West
know,
Seattle, if you don't know, is paved horribly. Consistently terrible.
that kind of opened my eyes to racing, and I thought, you know, I really would like to get in there with those guys, you know, to be able to bomb down the middle of the hill, close road.
You saw a guy with a backwards dog cone and you're like, there's a place for me here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So no,
That's what I'm talking about.
The guys were all super friendly, and it was like this, you know, I don't know, it was just like this camaraderie that it looked like a lot of fun. And so after that, I mean, I kept skating, and then, you know, through coast longboarding, you know, back when Bryson was running the actual coast longboarding site, and it was it wasn't, you know, like the Facebook thing now, but I met Dino and Dino's brother Dale and Dan Farmery, and I didn't have leathers at the time. I thought I was hot shit because I could do 40 on my, you know, homemade skateboard. And these guys took me out to Maryhill and proceeded to just smoke me all day long, like drafting each other and using their draft. And I tried to get in there, and I just couldn't keep up. So.
What was that like? And what time frame are we talking about right now?
That was 2001.
Okay, 2001 is the first time that you skated Maryhill.
Yep.
Wow. That's just...
Yeah, and those guys were going out there. That was like their thing, you know. Okay, so I had just watched the Red Bull downhill in downtown Seattle at Skid Row.
Can you pull that video up, Kyle? This Seattle Skid Row video.
What I'm watching right now. Here, look at this. 1997 to 98.
Oh, some Gary Hardwick.
Dude,
yeah.
You're the best, Kyle. He's got a decent tuck.
He got that fastback arrow helmet. I mean, yeah, these guys were doing it back then. And
dude,
these were the guys that I was watching thinking, okay, I got to go fast, you know.
Recording this type of... Is that in... That has to be in LA. Is it? I don't know. There's a road that looks very familiar to that just north of LA that Max Riverman had skated. But yeah, so Gary Hardwick, he had like the long tail or like the arrow lid that is most fashionable today on.
It was painted like a stormtrooper.
Oh, and he can kind of slide. Okay. Oh man, a simpler time. I'm loving this.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah. It's crazy how time flies. It feels like yesterday.
Yeah, I still like look at some of the young kids like Jackson Wells and like he came in here the other day. He's like, "Hey, you want a beer?" I'm like, "How can you buy beer? You're like," because I met him when he was like 13. I was like, "You're a child." And it's like, no, Jackson's like 24. Like he's an adult now. And I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" Like, well, if Jackson's 24, that must mean. And I'm just like, "Oh, I'm 31." Like crap. I'm like, but I still think like a 19-year-old, and I still think about
it will never change.
That makes me feel good because
it will never change. You're always gonna feel the same. I feel the same.
I mean, you skate the same. You're still fast. You still go down
I definitely don't skate the same.
Dude, I've seen you and Lee go down Mary Hill and just like put everybody's life on the line.
I need a throttle now to go real fast.
I mean, you could go fast down Mary Hill. You could still hang out with the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. So like we're gonna keep talking about like these early days of skateboarding. So like 2001, you go out to Mary Hill. You're riding with some of the people that really helped push the Seattle scene. I mean, was Dino there?
Dino was there. So Dino at the time lived in Spokane.
Wow, I'm glad he lives over here now.
Me too.
But I was thinking about this the other day. If you were to put like, there's like someone from Seattle who like really did the thing to like help make the scene, I think you'd have to put his name like,
oh yeah,
at the top, or like the list needs to be called like the Dino list, because I don't know him necessarily for his skating so much as I know him for like the events that he's done. And I think that's more timeless than the skating.
So many he's done, not just like the Mary Hill stuff, but things around town.
Yeah.
I think there was a one that was pretty memorable. It was like put together something in the South Seattle. They were having a block party down there, and he put together just like a little race on this. It wasn't a big hill, but it was super fun. We got to race down through the middle of the block party.
Yep.
So many.
And that's valuable. So like you're 2001, you're there, you're getting absolutely spanked by everybody that's there. And why were they faster than you? Was it wheels? It was
leathers.
They all had leathers.
They all had leathers, and I didn't have leathers. And I'm pretty sure that day there was no tailwind. It was like like an uphill wind. I can't remember. I just remember that I could not keep up with those guys for the life of me. I would kick as hard as I could at the top, and I'd be with them for a little while, and then we'd get down into like right around Spaghetti area, and they'd be gone. They'd kind of they're drafting each other, and one would pass the other guy, and then the other guy would pass, and I would need to be up there, but I couldn't stay in there, so.
Couldn't stay in the pocket. Okay. So that happens. You're immediately like, well, shit.
Leathers.
Never going to let that happen again. So you go and get leathers. It's 2001. How do you find leathers at this point? Like, are you going on like the internet? Are you finding like used leathers at a motorcycle shop? Like, what was that like?
No, I had a friend who knew a guy who owned a motorcycle shop that had a set of these techniques that nobody bought because they were small. They fit me. So I got a super guy. I think I paid a couple $100 for them. They're like $800 like motorcycle leathers. I got them for a couple $100 because he just wanted them out of his shop.
Perfect.
Now they were stupid looking. I mean, they had like they were meant for motorcycle riding.
Yeah. Oh, buddy, I know. I've seen. Right when I was getting started, that was the thing, is everybody bought like used motorcycle leathers, and that's how they got into like racing. And like nowadays, like people are like, oh, I don't want to get into racing because I can't afford like $1,000 NJK suit. And it's like, oh crap. Like I kind of liked when it was at the point where it was like, dude, you just need a crappy motorcycle helmet and old crappy motorcycle leathers and a roll of duct tape and whatever board you're currently riding, and you'll be fine. And now people are like riding on only fresh wheels and that kind of stuff. And it's like, the events are still cool, but like the ability to get into it's a little bit tougher now.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have a fresh set of wheels for every heat,
Yeah,
it's hard to be
every run.
It's hard to be competitive.
If you don't have like skin tight leathers that you've cut the liner out of, you're gonna be bummed.
Yeah.
You need like $500 trucks.
Yeah, and you need to be skating like all the damn time.
And you probably need to either be on some sort of like trust fund or like familial wealth program.
It's hard when you've got to work 10-hour days.
It gets in the way.
know?
It gets in the way really fast. So, yeah. So you've had a job through all of skating. What do you do for a living?
I'm a meteorologist, not a meteorologist. Everybody asks me if I know the weather. The difference is
A metrologist.
a meteorologist. Yeah, They're paid to be wrong. We're paid to be right. No,
Thank you. That's my ongoing joke on the internet right now is I don't trust meteorologists because they're just guessing at the clouds. And I don't trust them. So a metrologist, though.
Yeah, so basically, metrology, science of measurement, you have a known standard, something that's a known value, and you compare other things to it to make sure they're good. So you have test instruments. Specifically, I work with pressure. So you have some device that's used out someplace that measures pressure, and you want to know that it's good. So periodically, you'll bring it in and bump it up against something that's way more accurate than that, and certify it. So
okay, so when you say test pressure, how does that work? And I mean, keep in mind, I'm an idiot.
So
how do you test pressure?
there's so many different ways that you can test pressure.
Okay.
Right? So you can, oh man. So just to give you the fundamentals, right now there's barometric pressure in this room, right? And it changes throughout the day depending on, what the clouds are doing, temperature, and the barometric pressure is roughly 14.7 psi. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, right?
Okay.
So you have devices that can measure that. That would be considered absolute pressure. So if you evacuated that, you pulled like a hard vacuum, you could take that down to what you'd find in like space, right? And so super low pressures at absolute vacuum, all the way up to, absolute pressures. And then you can do pressures that are referenced to the current value. So basically, like a scuba tank.
Yeah, I was about to say going
you know,
under the ocean type of stuff.
it would be referenced to like current pressure. So that scuba tank, we're going to fill it up to 3,000 psi, say, right? Well, we're filling it up. We're considering this 14 psi that's in the room 0.
Okay.
So we're just basically going from this pressure that's in the room up, right? So there's a couple different ways that you can measure pressure. So if you have devices that measure absolute pressure, then you have to set up your test so that you can, create vacuum or, know the current pressure when you're going above it. So it's basically just science of measurement.
So you're wicked smart.
I don't know about that.
I mean, I've talked to you a couple times about this, and every time you talk about it and you like try to be really nice and explain it slowly, I'm still just like, you just use incredibly expensive, very complicated and delicate machines
Yeah,
all the
so
time.
As an example, so just like one machine, like let's say you have a pressure controller, right? And you have a button, you press a button on it, it goes to some pressure, and then you'll basically now that that's what the pressure is, plus or minus some value.
Okay.
So
And how much does one of those bad boys run?
there's all kinds of different units, anywhere from low level stuff for $400, $500 to like high level stuff, $500,000. Yeah, so like a cutting edge mercury manometer, like a Schween manometer, $500,000 right around there.
And is that what you're working on right now?
No. Basically, that's gone. Yeah. So I had the pleasure of working with one for many years, but I'm not really doing much lab work at all anymore. Oh. So I've been shifted away from like hands-on to a lot more administrative. Well, I wouldn't call it administrative, but more,
Moving on up, you're getting good. It's the promotion system. You get promoted to a point where eventually you'll fail, and some people never fail.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot more remote stuff in the future,
Which is cool. Which, I mean, unfortunately, you didn't ask for my feelings at all when you decided to move. I
You
mean,
know-
it makes sense why you wouldn't ask, but it feels like maybe you should have.
Yeah.
Hey, Nate,
I'm
I'm
getting out from a lot of people actually.
You just said something like what, a year and a half ago, like, yeah, dude, blah 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 blah. It's super cool out there. I think I'm gonna do it. And then like now you're moving. Tell people where you're going and why you're doing it.
Well, I'm engaged.
Aww.
Been looking for a job out in South Carolina so I could be with my honey for a couple of years, and now it's just time. I mean, the opportunity has presented itself to me to make it happen, and I got another job lined up out there, and basically just gonna
Gonna grab the bull by the horns.
head on out there, go get some nice 90-degree, 90% humidity,
Mm.
do a little surfing.
Get back to the good stuff.
Yeah, get back to some surfing, spend some time at the beach.
Not a lot of longboarding hills
It
in
is
that,
flat.
but that doesn't really matter too much based on some of the new stuff that you've been getting into.
Yeah, the electric. So
The dangerous stuff, if you will.
it's very dangerous. Yeah, it's
Dennis can go pretty quickly on a normal downhill skateboard, and Dennis has always been quite the menace, if you will. So if you haven't met him, very nice, very well put together gentleman, but on a longboard he goes really fast. And so when you start getting into electric stuff,
apparently I take people out too.
no, you do take people out. It's not apparently, like I've seen it in front of my own eyes. Like it's not.
I take out one person one time and I can't live it down.
You take out one person one time in front of like 3 photographers and a guy videoing, and it gets brought up from time to time. It's one of our favorite stories because the way that you describe it is like, it's super innocent. Like I'm on your side. Like I've been in situations before where like, oh shit breaks down and
we
like
just kissed wheels.
yeah, we just kissed wheels. Like I'm sorry that we
I wanna
kissed
take another one of
wheels.
these.
Yeah, please do.
Not
Please
that one, though.
wait. Yeah, open that one up. I shook this one up because I thought it would be funny. But like, yeah, when you're skating Mary Hill, there are definitely certain times where like, you kiss wheels, and unfortunately the other person falls down and you don't, and like, is that your fault? I don't think so. But when 7 people are making fun of you, I'm definitely gonna be 8 because I just love even numbers. And so
It was bad.
and unfortunately, it was a younger kid, and they were new, and like you should have been able to avoid them. But
He
like,
was wearing clothes though. I wasn't wearing it. I didn't have a shirt on. If I had gone down, that would have been no skin.
I mean, like I said,
Should I have sacrificed myself?
I agree with you. I'm on the hierarchy structure. If I'm in a pack run and I know that somebody that I may crash into is younger than me, like
You sacrifice yourself?
no, I sacrifice them. It's hierarchy. It's age. Like Greg, even though it's not age.
So you wouldn't take out Limo?
No. He's been in I wouldn't take out Greg. Limo's been skating longer than me, and I would take Limo out based on Limo's personality. But as far as like the hierarchy structure, if I have an opportunity to take out Limo or take out anybody younger than Limo, like I got to choose the younger person. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Every time I see Limo going down the hill, I always think like, man, I bet I could push him off the road, and it'd be really funny for me and the people around. But like, he'd probably bitch about it later, so I don't. But
In that vein, then I have done nothing wrong.
Exactly. Like I feel like I said, I'm on your side. But when 5 people are gonna make fun of you, I just love a good party. And so like that's Mary Hill, and sometimes people crash, and it's not your fault that he didn't.
And yes, I did come in on the inside, but you left the door open.
I mean, that's an invitation as far as I'm concerned. And as far as the government's concerned, an open door is an open opportunity. So, like, you did a great job. You did everything you should have. And it was just that I'm sorry for the gentleman. If you know who you are, please tag yourself in the comments, like and subscribe. Please pay our Patreon. And I'm sorry that you got taken out by Dennis, but look at him. He's gorgeous. He's here on the podcast right now, and he's giving you all this credit. So
Many apologies. Once again, I apologize for 2 days.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, it was probably his fault. Like he should have known
it was
better.
my fault.
I know it was your fault. I
totally
was
my
right
fault.
there. I saw it happen. Like he left the door open. You went inside as any of the 20 people. Like it was the only issue is that you were in front.
Oh, were we talking about something different?
No.
I'm talking about the one with Monkey.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I had a camera, Monkey had a camera, and someone else had a video, and we were just like, oh. But like the issue is you were in front. If it was any other thing, it would have been me taking him out or Monkey taking him out. You just so happened to be in front. He opened the door, and we were all following you. And like as it happened, you just so happened
I was
to.
coming down so fast, I had nowhere to go. I had to go like right in between.
I'm
them.
on your team here. I'm on your team. Sometimes
sorry, man.
it happens.
Won't happen again. Maybe.
It won't happen this week. So so you got into e-skating. That's kind of where we were going with this.
Oh yeah.
And you just couldn't take e-skating. The stock ones just didn't do it for you.
So here's the thing. You've had some boosteds around here, right?
Dude.
I have a buddy who lives up in Anacortes, and he's got a friend that has a boosted up there. And he was always like, you got to check this thing out. This is the shit. It's the coolest thing you've ever seen. And I was like, 22 miles an hour. I'm good.
Like, I've gone faster than that. I always tell people that doesn't.
I can like push that fast.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't thrill me because we've all gone that fast, if not faster, on a longboard, like done a slide above that speed. So like, I'm with you.
So then Subsonic started, they had, Adam was making these boards there. And Limo comes over one day with this thing. So you got to ride this thing. And that thing did about 32. And I was taking the corners in my neighborhood at 30 miles an hour, thinking to myself, well, this is like kind of like downhill. So I got online and started looking around, and come to find out, you can make these things go real fast. I mean, the technology has come a long ways. They have motors now that are, real small, real powerful. So the board I built currently it's geared for about 45 miles an hour. And
I mean, obviously you've probably geared it out to go as fast as possible.
no, I've had it geared for like 55, but it was kind of gutless. So it was only
It doesn't have the torque.
It was only like a good at 50 plus on a flat surface, and it took so long to get to speed, right? Mm-hmm. But with the 18 tooth gear on there, it's about 40, say 44 when you're really getting at it. But I mean, I never really go that fast. I'm usually right around 40 when I'm riding the thing.
I mean, yeah, going top end isn't really what it's meant for. You want the acceleration band from like 30 to 40, so you're like hammering out of corners.
I mean, I can climb like a 20% grade hill, 25, 30 miles an hour. And, Mary Hill, you can go up Mary Hill at like 35 going up the hill.
Yeah, you're ripping.
So I don't know. It's like super, super fun. The equipment has come a long ways. I mean, I can't believe how fast they go. And ever since I built this one, I mean, I don't know. My longboard's been kind of getting dusty.
Well, I mean, it's tough to get a downhill.
Could you just get this way just a little
Yeah.
Yeah, just
like towards me, like this way.
Like that.
Oh yeah, now we love it.
There we go.
So you've been ripping, like hauling ass, and you built a couple electric vehicles as well. Like you did the longboard, you also did the mountain bike,
Yeah, just some bikes.
and
They're all right.
tell me some of those stories, because like there was one in particular that was just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me right now.
It was, they've all been kind of cobbled together. So,
What do you mean by that? Like,
so not real, you can go out and buy really nice bikes. You can go out and buy, all kinds of really nice components. I didn't want to spend all that kind of money. I just wanted to see if I could.
you didn't want to buy a $15,000
Exactly.
pre-assembled e-bike.
So I bought an old full frame, full suspension mountain bike, and I got some batteries that you would use for like a quadcopter, like a really powerful quadcopter.
Mm-hmm.
A few of those, 100 volts. I think the thing was doing 80 amps. So not super powerful, but the bike could do 45, 50 miles an hour.
And where were you doing 45 or 50 miles an hour?
But you just kind of,
Everywhere.
around.
Everywhere. Bike paths. You
No,
much.
I never used to. I used to open it up on the road. But yeah, you gotta mind your P's and Q's. You don't want to piss people off, It's the same with the electric, though. I mean, you get the electric.
That's how you
on
got the nickname Dennis the Menace, is by minding people's opinions. That's exactly how it happened. I mean, you told me like, yo, this thing's this fast. And like, I was like, holy shit. And you were like, yeah, you can ride it everywhere. And it's on a full suspension mountain bike. So like, dude,
that was good.
You were ripping through like the city and like catching air and doing shit like that. And I just remember being like, dude, we've lost him. Like, he's never coming back to downhill skating. Like, he'll do it for fun, but like, this is his thing now. You were going to be the like e-vehicle assassin.
The electric boards.
Yeah. And you've been like, you've got some drifting on those as well. Like, what's that like, drifting on an electric longboard?
Well, so it's easy to go left or
Because of heel side.
or right, depending on if you're regular or goofy. Because you got, the controller in the one hand. I'm still working on, with the puck on the bottom of the controller and putting the controller down and being able to drift the turns to the right. So
Okay.
I'm way faster to the left. But it's really fun to drift the corners. Like you put your hand down and you can kind of throttle the gas up and spin the back wheels and kind of get the board to kind of change angle, you know? So,
Oh, and like because you're making these, like what deck are you using at the moment?
so I got a Subsonic GT40 and it's custom though. It's got extra layers of fiberglass. It's an extra layer of maple and 2 extra layers of fiberglass.
And
Snapped 2 of them, and then it doesn't have the drop through cutouts. It's basically
it's
just a
top
top
mounted.
mount. Yeah.
I was about to say because I was for a while there. You were coming in here and buying decks from me, and just blowing them up.
Yeah.
Like, was it the
torque? Yeah.
the demon seed in the necks? You were like, well, you weren't just like riding them around. You were like dropping them off stairs and like
Yeah, that wasn't
doing early grabs.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
That wasn't good for the board.
No. Although I'm pretty sure the GT40 with no holes in it, I think it can handle some early grabs.
Because
Yeah, it's pretty damn strong.
I mean, you were early grabbing like a 20-pound electric longboard
yeah.
and like off stairs.
That wasn't a good idea. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
It seems like a good idea now, but like you just need more than one. You're like, oh, I broke another one. Just like kept checking Instagram. It's like, oh shit, what happened? Like you see the stairs in the background, like the neck snapped off. I was like, yes. So has that been taken over? Like
That's it, yeah.
have they
Pretty much.
been breaking down on you a bunch or like?
So no, at first I had some issues with like motors. I broke a couple of motors, but there's a way to condition the motors. So once you condition them, they're
What do you mean by condition? I have no
Yeah,
idea.
you got to take them apart and fill them full of epoxy, and once you do that, you basically it's called battle hardening. There's like a special way to like lay epoxy in there, and it just makes the magnets a lot stronger. So since I did that, I haven't had any problems.
Oh, because like you're banging them around so much, the magnets start getting wobbly or something.
So the way the motor is, it's got like this big coil that is an electromagnet on the inside, and then it's got super high powerful magnets on the outside, and they spin. But the thing is, if you hit the can on a rock, you can crack those magnets that are on the outside. So I'm not quite sure why they designed the motors in that way. You know, why they don't have an in-runner, basically a regular style DC motor or AC motor, you know, but
Obviously, they didn't consult you when they were making these things.
well, I think there's a guy that's running the in-runner style motor. He's got really fast boards, Mo from California, and Brandon Mo Stooge. He has these just insanely fast boards, like 60 plus mile an hour boards. And they run a different type of a motor. It's a in-runner. It has like all the moving components are inside, and it seems like that'd be a lot, you know, better because it's a lot more robust. Yeah, you know, you can probably hit the outside of that can and not have it break a magnet in the same way that you will. It's got rotating magnets on the inside, so or
That
the
makes a lot of
outside.
sense. Essentially, just has like a shield over the top of all the moving components, which just helps
Right.
to keep this shit from going. Like because you let me ride it, and I had been at the time we were carrying a lot of like the boosted stuff and shit like that, and like it just got to a point where I didn't enjoy electric skateboards. It didn't like tickle my pickle the way that I think that you would want, and there's a lot of problems when like people who don't know what the hell they're doing are getting on boards. Like 75% of people that get on an electric longboard do not know how to push a longboard. So that means that there are people who now have the ability to go 25 miles an hour on something that they wouldn't be able to get above 2 miles an hour because they've never longboarded. And because of that, you just have these people like bombing really fast on bad bushings and bad trucks and bad components and like buying $300 e-skates on the web. And you're like, dude, this board should not be $300 if you're going to go 20 miles an hour on it with like a laptop. And it just got out of control. And I was like, fuck it, I'm done. I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Then you got into it and you let me ride yours. And we were at the garage out in Bellevue. And you're like, yo, you got to try this shit. And I was like, nah, it looks stupid. And I was like, just shitting on you, as I normally do. I was like, that's dumb. Like, this is stupid. And you're like, okay, cool. And then, like, no one was looking. I was like, let me ride that. Like, I got to see what it's about. And I remember, like, just going up that garage so fast and being, like, halfway through the throttle and being like, there is more to this. And I am terrified. Like, I'm super nervous. I'm going, like, 25 plus miles an hour uphill, like, going up and down those bumps and, like, railing the corners. And I just remember being like, dude, I get why Dennis is doing this shit. Like,
I can't wait. I'm gonna go ride it when I get home.
yeah, it's and you can ride it anywhere. Like, and he runs a downhill run if you're going 35 miles an hour, like flat, uphill, doesn't matter.
Anywhere, yeah.
And
I was just in one in Chelan, and we were running all over this orchard. It was insane.
That's the best thing. And you can get in and out too. Like, you can get out on a sidewalk. So you can go and find some fun stuff and be like, hey, get out of here. The other one I imagine you probably should start checking out is the old golf courses, because
That's where I'm moving onto a golf course in South Carolina. They're gonna love me.
they're gonna love you.
They're gonna love me.
Because Kyle over here just told me that he found a golf course that went out of business within about 22 hours of the shop, and all the bike pads, like all the cart pads, are downhill and turning. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Where's that?
It's up where I live, Skagit Valley, Skagit County.
I heard
Mount
there was
Vernon.
one down by Kent that was like a shutdown. You know, you head down like the Kent Valley there, and we were at a brewery down there, and they were talking about there was a old golf course that went out of business, and then they basically just left it over there for people to walk their dogs and pedestrians and stuff. And she was like, if you like to skateboard, you could go over there. There's probably, all the bike paths coming off basically the Kent Hill over there. I never found it though. I went and looked for it a couple times. I couldn't find it.
There's like 20 kids on Google Maps right now.
Yeah, there are 20.
This, like trying to find this.
Yeah, so like we've been looking. I mean, you know me, I like to ride my longboard down bike paths, and so I've been hunting some of these golf courses. There's one I live in Issaquah, and I've been like putting on the look and driving over to if you know, like the Newport Hills area, like the golf course on top of there. That's like I've been like doing some like real like okay.
Been there, been up there.
It's a great place to get a trespassing ticket.
Yeah, it's the entry road to that thing.
That's fun to skate.
Yeah.
That whole area is just like a great place to have people tell you how they feel about longboarding. Like, we were up there the other day, and I was with Monkey, myself, Greasy, and Rain, and we were like just bombing around, having a good time, like no big deal. And like we were leaving, and like I forgot something and walked back down the hill, and one of the neighbors was like, "Do you really think this is a safe idea?" And I was just like, "Lady,
I got a helmet on."
Like, I looked at her, I was like, I'm gonna be back infrequently, like, but I will be back to do this again. Like, have a good day. Like, you can't stop me. My favorite thing is like, hey, I called the police. It's like, okay, cool, but like, we're gonna be gone before they get here, so it looks like you cried wolf. Like, bad move. You shouldn't have told us.
It's just like the police in the Issaquah Highlands.
Oh, dude, they've got nothing better to do
They
except
used to
like
love me. I lived there, so I used to skate every day.
Where did you? Because I live at the bottom of. I live right next to the salmon hatchery right now.
I used to live over like halfway up the hill, over there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I lived there before any of it was developed. So when the Highlands Drive that goes down to the highway, it's like.
Yep. It's like 5 lanes wide in some point, right next to the bike path.
That was closed for like 8 months before they opened it. So they had the first layer of pavement and then like 2 inches of the sidewalk, because they're going to put the next layer of pavement on. So I was able to skate it for like 3 months with that first layer of pavement. Every day down that, all 5 lanes, carving it up, get down to the bottom onto the freeway, and then just walk back up, And then they put in the second layer of pavement, and it was great, Call Farmery over, he'd come over, we'd be ripping it 2-man, 5 lanes
just
wide all the way down,
F16
right?
turns. That's like a super steep road. Like, you can go like 45 plus mile an hour down it, just like on
You could just like, because you had all the whole road, you could just come bombing down it, take a toe side turn, and then just lay a big old slide, and it was just so fun. And then they put the bumps in, and then after they put the bumps in, it was like, okay, I got to go here. I can't just use the whole road. I got to like go in between the
You got to avoid the city titties. Yep. Those things are nerve wracking, especially if you hit them at high speed. Because like I assume what made it the best is when you're like ripping across it and there's nothing to hit. Because like you could do some like 30-mile-an-hour long just gripping turns.
Giant turns. Yeah, It was awesome.
Like I've been thinking about, like I tell people like, yeah, I've been skating in the Issaquah Highlands for like close to 10 years now. But you've been there way longer than me because you were one of the first people that showed me the Issaquah Highlands, because I was with Tad and he was riding an Evo and he had grippins on, and we had just got done skating Alpental one morning. You're like, you think this shit's rad? Come skate this. And like, this is before Slug Wars was in, when you had to like
There was no pond with a loop around it.
There was no pond with the loop. We had to do C turn versus the S turn part because the S turn wasn't there.
Yep.
So that was super exciting. And then like that was when you had to go down the alley that had the really cool early grab speed bump in it. That whole section, I remember just being like, dude, these guys have it figured out. Like they get it. We're ripping. It was so much fun.
That was fun.
And now we don't even skate that way because they've built more roads in my short time.
Too much traffic.
Yeah, like now, I think the way that we skate it now is honestly like the best / worst. Like it's not down the main road anymore, which is good, but like people know the route and they're just hammering like 30 miles an hour into like big drifts into like blind corners and you know, and now Slug Wars is there, so that's a really convenient cut through.
Am I like the only person that bombs that main road down there? I mean, I bomb that all the time.
We don't talk about it on the podcast, but yeah, we call that the main vein, and we typically do that at like.
I never do. I didn't. What did I say?
Yeah, 2 a.m. My favorite time to do that particular run is do the main vein at 2 a.m. because then the street lights glow. So when you come down that one spot when it's divided, you can see before you get down to the light if it's green or red, which doesn't matter because it's 2 a.m. at that point. And you know you're going through that light anyway. And you can keep your speed and go up past the
if it goes
wine
red,
bar.
you just throw a shoe. Stop.
I'm not skating that hill at 2 a.m. thinking about foot braking. Dennis.
I'm not skating that hill at 2 a.m. So
I never skate that hill like in the right state of mind. Let's just say that. I'm always like, oh man, it'd be a really bad idea, guys. Like, let's go skate the bad part. Like, I like that. The other one, on the back side of that road, did you ever skate the one that goes behind Home Depot?
Yeah, I got pulled over on that road.
That road is
that was
dangerous.
My release when I was in school. Like I would be studying, and then I got to go bomb the hill, and I'd go out there and I'd bomb that thing.
That road's fast and dangerous. Like 50 miles an hour. Easily, like no problem. 50 mile an hour gripping corners. And like, I don't know when you were doing it, but like now the traffic is so heinous. It'd be.
I did it. I used to do it at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning before I go to school.
Wow. Simpler times.
It was, 2003, probably 2004.
Okay.
I was going down one day and Issaquah cop, same one that used to harass me all the time in the Highlands, going up. And he did a U-turn in the middle of the road. So I was bombing down in a full tuck and made that bottom turn, you know. He does
that bottom turn's gnarly because it
just like gives you the gravity coming through it, right?
You hit all the G's right there. And it's like you're turning and then it flattens out. So you really got to.
Yeah, so he pulls me over. I pulled over and, read me the riot act, told me that riding in the road is a felony in Issaquah. Which I don't believe that's true.
No.
He said that the next time he saw me, he was going to take my board away. And I said, how about if I come out here like late at night? That's what I asked him. How about I don't do it at 9 o'clock in the morning? If I come out here like late at night, cut me some slack. And he was like, I just don't ever want to see you out here again. And he used to say the same thing to me in the Highlands.
Every time he sees you, he's like, I don't ever want to see you out here again. And every time you're like, you won't.
Well, when in the Highlands, I would tell him, I'm like, hey, I live like right down here, and this is what I do. This is my neighborhood. I'm recreating in my neighborhood. I'm not going to stop skateboarding, You can tell me to stop today, and I'll go home today, but I'll be back tomorrow.
Now, what days are you not working, Mr. Officer? Exactly.
Right?
You get off at 4? Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, it's because the thing is, he was being unreasonable because I was always super safe with the way I skated. It's not like I was just, I
know how you skate, and I would say that to the untrained eye, someone would assume that you were being dangerous, but I've rarely seen you
slow, man. I go slow.
I've rarely seen you catch a shit sandwich skating. Like I'll say that. Like I haven't seen you covered in road rash.
Wow.
I'm sure it's happened, but like
that's good.
Nothing at Maryhill, nothing at Alpental.
Oh, it has been. Well, see, I don't really skate very much anymore.
No.
That's the thing. It's like I used to get covered in it because I used to skate a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, during like the
at Maryhill. Like I take like 3 runs when I'm at Maryhill. Maryhill for me is about the people.
Sleep all day, party all night, baby. Yeah, I know. There's definitely been some Sundays where I'm like, I'll get the first run, and like look around, you're like, and the last run. Like, that's
I
all
just like to talk to people, hang out with
dude, hanging out.
hang out with
You don't have to explain
the
that to me.
tent.
I showed up a day early for like 10 years to throw hay bales because I was like, fuck yeah, my people. Like, I'll throw hay bales with 20 people who like think it's fun to like go skate. Like, this is the best opportunity. So, like, speaking of best opportunity, you're meeting people, it's your people.
Yeah.
2003,
Okay.
you're longboarding. What point did you get like a decent board? So you've gotten leathers at this point.
2003. So, where were we 2003?
I don't know. I was,
Skating Maryhill.
oh, Maryhill 2001. Wow. Click on that. Let's see this.
So this is, I believe, the race. The EDI 2001 Maryhill
What does EDI
race.
stand for?
Extreme
Downhill?
Downhill International, I think.
Oh, okay.
They were like, they were like I guess the IDF back then.
Yep.
EDI.
Wow. Same road, different aesthetic.
It's crazy.
Oh my goodness. Sobe sponsor?
Yep.
Biker Sherlock, right?
So, I heard this was
Kryptonics?
going down. Yep, I heard this was going down, but this was a little bit before my time.
This is a little bit before you were able to go fast down this road.
Yeah, because I mean, we had just come out here and skated this road like right around the same time that they were doing this. Or just after. I think maybe just after.
Okay. Man. Oh, someone's got some road rash.
That's probably, this may be why Dino and those guys were skating the road because of this.
They're
race.
preparing for this race. And
No,
people are parking at the
I think
top.
maybe they had this race and then they were just skating it, because
Yeah.
when you have Leon, Lee will tell you the story of how they found the hill initially. I don't recall exactly.
That hill's in the middle of fucking nowhere.
I don't know the story, but I know that like the California guys and Lee, those guys, they all found this hill back in like mid 90s.
Oh my.
Still wrecking just as hard.
Oh my goodness. Man, we have come a long way.
Was that Danzy?
I don't know, but that dude
on.
ate a fucking
Looks like Danzy, dude. That's fucking Danzy.
eating shit. No way. Lee's never fallen before in his life. How dare you say that? I will not have Lee's good name tarnished on this podcast without him here to do it himself.
Pretty sure that was him.
I'm pretty sure that's Lee. It looked like a skinny little guy. Yeah.
Pretty sure that was Lee. I just was looking at the leathers. They look familiar.
Yeah, that blue and white. I think so. I don't know. I mean, maybe we're just like shitting on Lee, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Like,
Long
yeah,
time ago.
I'll have to get into that. And it's like you're getting into skating, and what was your first race?
So first, like real downhill race, or first like event kind of a thing.
Event kind of a thing, and we'll go with first downhill race.
So Chan Session, there's a Chan Center in BC. Bryson put on this race. It was like 2001 or 2002. He used to have these. So Chan Center was like a underground parking garage. I want to say it was like 5 or 7 levels, something like that. And it was just this, all out parking garage race. So we went up there for this. I had been skating with Farmery for, I don't know, we've been doing all the garages downtown pretty much weekly, a couple times a week. We go downtown and destroy all the garages. So we go up there for this event. And I took this girl I was dating at the time. She had no idea what skateboarding was. Totally freaked her out. She totally mind blown as to what we were doing. Why are you guys riding these boards down this damn parking garage? Well, we're gonna sit in this parking garage and drink beer while you guys are racing skateboards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was interesting. Anyways, so Chan Center race, there was Bryson, Teddy, just a bunch of the old skateboarder guys, Dan Farmery, and ended up making it into the finals. I don't know how. Scooched into the finals, and then edged Dan out for second. He got third.
Who drove? Was it you or Dan?
I drove.
Okay, good. It's always nice
Yeah,
when
I think I drove.
you don't beat the person who drove you there.
Yeah, no, I usually drove because Dan didn't have a license back then. He was
We'll get him
he
on
was-
and ask him about it.
He used to always just skate everywhere back in the day before he got his car.
So you beat Dan, and then who beat you?
Teddy got first. So Teddy was one of the locals from BC. Used to come to like the Danger Bay race. I haven't seen him in years.
What board were you on at this time?
What board was I riding then?
If you can remember. I mean, certain boards stick out more than others.
Okay, so I was riding with Dan. So at that time, it would have been a Quebec Smooth Cut 42. It would have been a Quebec Smooth Cut 42. I probably had Randall downhill trucks on it with 180 hangers. The back one was flipped, and the front one was not flipped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but both
stock
35-degree base plates, front and back. And
was the smooth cut the one that was wedged in the front and flat in the back?
no, it was just like basically a flat drop through.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
with just a little bit of concave, and the concave was relatively flat in the middle, and then it just kind of
Curved
came up at the edges.
Yeah, like tub-like concave. Very Quebec of them.
And a matter of fact, I actually still have that board.
That's sick.
Yeah.
And so you've got that smooth cut. I mean, I remember back when like a bunch of my friends got Quebec boards, and I remember being like, oh, because like, you know, you got like 12 people in your scene, someone gets an Evo, and you're like, well, fuck, I can't get an Evo anymore. Who makes a wedge drop deck? And Quebec also made stuff. And they made some really cool stuff as well. So I found out about them in like 2007 or 2008, but in 2003 or something, that's what you're riding.
Yeah, they were kind of the first guys that were doing like the CNC, you know, cutouts
Yeah,
and stuff.
they were doing that flush, that top mounted or the drop through flush mounts.
Right.
That smooth cut is
Yep,
exactly
smooth
what I'm
cut.
talking about, which is kind of cool because it was like, oh, look at this, it looks kind of nice.
Yeah, I had one of those. It was super heavy though.
As most 42-inch boards that are 9 plies of maple are. Yeah. So you did that, and then like, now what's your real first downhill race? And by the way, thank you, Bryson, for throwing so many events.
Seriously, so many. So then after that, we went to Danger Bay, and
Oh my! I just had Rain on the podcast, so tell me what your first Danger Bay was like, and what year was it?
it was Danger Bay 2, and that would have been 2003, I think, right?
You're asking the wrong guy.
I'm pretty sure they're
one after.
behind, yeah. So like 2 would have been in 3, pretty sure. Yeah. So it was a hoot. Like I was blown away. We racer camp, and we skated so many hills. We skated Dump Road and the Slide Hill, Jake's Rash, and then the race. I mean, the race was super fun.
How was Jake's Rash back then?
Yeah, it was.
Super fun. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, that's one of those hills that has held up over time.
Yeah.
Like Danger Bay, I feel like may have been more exciting in its earlier days, but like nowadays it's kind of like a heritage event. Like it's been around a long time, but like Jake's Rash, like that road still bangs.
It's like
that,
a roller coaster, you know. You're
It's
just like
such a
coming
good road.
down, and it like spits you up, and then puts you down again.
And
you're
the
going
corners
left, you're
are-
going right.
yeah.
It's just
Oh,
that is
man.
a good one. Yeah.
it's a rip. It's right up there with like Maryhill in terms of like you can get right next to your friends, and like I think that the draft at Jake's Rash is arguably one of the best in the game.
It's a good one, yeah.
as far as, like-
it's shitty to crash on that run though.
Well, because the road turns so
Just-
much, you rarely
just
crash
like
on the road.
the
You crash
drops,
and then
you
go
know?
off the side, and
Yeah,
that's
and
when
they're
you're
like kind of dropped off the side.
yeah. There's a lot of bad spots. You don't want to go off the road there.
Yeah, that's a good road.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the partying was good.
What was the campsite like?
It was just wild,
Tell us.
just debauchery, just typical skateboarder debauchery.
Nope. Not enough.
Bonfires, jumping fires,
Burning pallets.
Burning pallets. You've been there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Metal bands playing.
Yeah.
Just-
back then it was actually not as big. It was,
Like how many people were there?
I think 35 people raced
Wow.
on that one. Yeah.
Okay, because one of the Danger Bays that I went to, there were like 400 people in the campground.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, oh my goodness. And like at one point, I just kind of like looked around and I was like,
I want to say there was like 35 or 38 race or something like that. Like on the
Yeah, there were a lot. I remember I've definitely stayed awake every night of Danger Bay because I was so nervous about like,
Chris Chappett was there.
wow.
He showed up with that was the year that he had come up with the gumball wheel,
Okay.
and nobody was able to get the gumball yet. And he showed up with the gumballs and ran them and smoked us all because he could stick Carnage Corner.
On the gumball.
Yeah.
Wow. That was my first set of longboard wheels was gumballs. So that's when you met Chris Chappett.
Yep, that was first time.
Excellent. And so is at this point you're still on a drop through board, you're still racing, and like when did you get like your first what we would say like good longboard, like CNC trucks or some sort of carbon fiber? Like what was your big upgrade off that smooth cut?
So I got some Bear Smokies. Would have been my first precisions.
The
And-
double spherical ones that
Yep.
were harder than shit to change the
Yes.
bushings on.
Yes,
Yeah.
those ones. Still got 'em.
Jimsy bushings.
Jimsy bushings. I can't remember what the deck I was riding. I think it was a Comet, some kind of a Comet, maybe a Voodoo.
Most likely a
Yeah, I think
top mounted
Comet Voodoo.
rocker.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's what's up.
Yep.
And then what wheels? ABEC11.
Yeah, I was always running Chris's wheels. It just seemed like he was always winning, and
And I wanted some of that
I
too.
wanted some of those good wheels.
Yep. What were the wheels of choice? Like, because I tell some
Well,
funny
so-
stories of like reflex big zigs.
Yeah, it went flashbacks, right? The flashback was like the wheel, and then
For gripping and racing, right?
gripping corners. So everybody was running flywheels for going real fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
The orange flywheels, and then Chris was working on the big zig, I believe, and the flashback. Flashback came out first, and then everybody was like, "This flashback is super sticky," but it was super small, right? So we didn't really run it because we wanted a bigger wheel. But then he came out with the big zig, or not the big zig, sorry, the gumball.
Mm-hmm.
And the gumball was great, but it would cone real fast.
Yes, they do.
Super sticky, but you'd only get a couple runs out of them.
And that's in that classic ABEC thing.
Yep, like
That green.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Wow.
yeah,
I think that we should have to go back to that. We should all work together to get ABEC11 back up and running, and they should just make gumballs, and we should have a race series where you have to race one set of gumballs. If
I
it's-
wouldn't mind a race series where everybody's limited on what they can have.
I'm bummed you're leaving. That's exactly what I've been working on. Once this damn Corona bullshit is gone and they tell me that we can make out with our friends again in public, I will be throwing my race series, and there's going to be a couple different ones where you're going to be handicapped on what you can run. Definitely a race that I want to do is you get a set of wheels and you have to run those wheels the entire time. Or you get a deck and you have to run that deck the entire time. So everybody's on the same limiting factor. You know-
Wheels.
yeah, wheels. Wheels is a good one. I really like deck because you can fuck everybody like right off the bat. Give everybody like a flexible dancer and be like, oh, cool. Yeah, you thought you were good. Like, this is fun though. Like, now it's like, oh, your super small precision trucks and your big wheels and this flexy dancer that if you stand in the middle, like bottoms out. Like,
That's hilarious.
like that's the stuff that I think makes it fun. It also brings it back to like you can't have a $900 deck and $1,000 leathers and a $400 full face and 12 sets of freshies and show up at like a bike path race. It's like, no, I want somebody you've never heard of to win this race because he's like, oh, I already ride a crappy dancer. Like, I'm gonna win.
You do like a
I'm
dinghy.
used to that.
Yeah, you can do like a dinghy race. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
you like riding narrow trucks, huh?
Exactly.
Here's this.
Yeah, or you got to ride your board backwards. That's another one that I've thought of is so anyone who runs like a directional truck setup, it's like, cool, you can spin your trucks around, but your deck has to be the other way. It's like all these people that have like torque blocks and stuff. It's like, nope. Like spin it around. Like I do not
That's
care.
really funny.
Yeah, like some of those would be like really enjoyable because you see someone show up on like an Evo and you're just like, dude, I feel really bad for you. Like,
Sorry, Tad.
yeah, sorry. You can either run your board backwards or upside down, whatever works, but you cannot run it in its intended direction. So yeah, those types of races would be really fun. So you're getting into racing. You're like, damn, this gumball's where it's at, which is super funny because nowadays, like, nobody would try and race on a gumball. Like you'd have to be so desperate and hard up for wheels.
I know. And I mean, when they were new,
and that's what you'd win on.
Everybody wanted it. They saw Chris take the corner and they were like, how the hell are we going to make the turn like that? You know, because
what was he doing? Was he foot braking and gripping it, or?
Yeah, he was basically throwing a little shoe and then coming down and grabbing rail and taking the turn, right? But not ending up in the
hay bales.
In the hay bales,
as you do, as is tradition. Excellent. So he was doing a pretty good job with that. And then, I mean, what are your ideas? Because I would say Chris Chappitt at one point had the biggest longboard wheel company in the world. Like he had so many different wheels, and he was blowing up, and he sponsored all the good people, and like, and that was like right around the same time that I met you, and everybody rode ABEC11, like everybody. If you didn't have Lime Big Zigs on, like you weren't a threat. Type of like those days.
I'm still programmed. I love those wheels.
Do you win anymore?
Oh, that's besides the point. Do I have fun though? Do I have fun?
I've seen you have a lot of fun. That's definitely happened. And so like these early days of racing, you're like, where are some of the events that you're able to go to? Like obviously Danger Bay has been around for a really, really long time, but like what are some of the other ones that may or may not be around still?
Oh, so I mean Sully's still around, I think.
The Sullivan Challenge. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Calgary. We used to go to Calgary. Sully. What else? Yeah. Pretty much anyone that we could drive to, like around here, we would try to get to.
Okay.
I didn't make any of the California races. They're too far away.
Yeah.
I made Cathlamet 1 year. Yeah, 1 year.
How'd you do?
Or not Cathlamet, Catalina 1 year.
Oh, that's an event. That is the other end of longboard camping. Like longboard event camping. Like Danger Bay is like, I think the epitome of like what it could be. And then like Catalina is the opposite end of the spectrum.
It was nice.
It was comfortable. Very cool road. Yeah. Very cool road. Very pretty. But same level of debauchery. You know, you can take the trash out of the trailer, but you can't take the trailer out of the trash, or however that goes. Like, bring like 200 skaters to Catalina Island and like, why are they stealing our golf carts, you guys? Like, no. And how'd you end up there? Like, what were you riding for at the time?
5 Mile. Yeah, we went down
5 Mile, and that's when they were like linked up with Paris, and it was Riviera Distribution that did Catalina. So you kind of got the like little sneaky in there.
Got in sneaky, yeah.
And how'd you do?
I didn't do very good. I think I got put out pretty early. It's that last corner.
Yeah, is that like a right?
Yeah,
it's like a pretty difficult right, and you're goofy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm regular.
You're regular?
No, toe side for me.
Okay. But
I like toe side, so. But I got put out pretty early. Yeah, the course was, just.
It's slow and technical, and like it's fast enough, but it's like slow compared to like the 65-mile-an-hour races that like now they have going on. But it's like super close, and like little mistakes are noticed.
Yes.
It's like making a little mistake in
I make lots of little mistakes.
Yeah. And a few big ones as well. Yeah, I'm right there. I don't race anymore. It's too tough to suck and not put any time or effort into it, and then show up to the race and be like,
It's just a lot of money on like wheels, equipment. If you're not gonna really, I mean, this competition is so high. The level of competition.
People are so good.
So I mean, if you're not gonna really spend the time to like really train, and I mean, when I say train, I don't mean just go out and skate. I mean eat good and like.
Lift weights and do squats and like, you have to be if you're not skating 6 days out of the week, you need to be eating healthy and like pushing long distances in the wintertime and like lifting weights and doing like balance
training.
Yeah, like cross training. Like Emily Prost, I don't know if you saw her for a while, was like doing like these one-legged pistol squats with a kettlebell on a fucking yoga ball. And I was just like, yeah, I'm never going to win a race. Like as long as Emily Prost is alive, like she's gonna beat me in every event I go to.
I mean, when I got into it because I saw a bunch of people that had a bunch of these weird looking boards, and everybody was kind of hucking their bodies down the hill, and then we were gonna drink some beer. You know, it was like it was competitive, but it wasn't competitive like it is today. It was more,
Well, I've got some ideas that I mean, I'm very fortunate, thank you, that motion board shops, keep me employed, but it's allowed me a lot of opportunity to think about longboarding. One of the things that I wanted to do is get back to it, which is you're not allowed to compete in the race if you don't get your racer's card punched at 4 a.m. at the party. So if you're not up at 4 a.m. at the party, I'm sorry, you
I don't
can't
think
race.
I'd be racing.
I mean, if you're
Could I sleep, set my alarm, wake up, and then get my card punched?
100%, you're not allowed to be completely convenienced.
Oh,
or
hold on.
So
you know what I could do? I could just get up at my normal time and get my card punched.
I mean, nowadays, yeah, you're up at that time anyway. But so I wanted to keep it a little bit real. The other one is like no changing. Like, I don't care who you're sponsored by. Like you can run whatever wheel you want, but you just can't change them. Like I think that's a nice rule just to like make it easy, so it's not like who can put on the freshest wheels the most often. And then the other one that I really wanted to do is you are not allowed to like have a super duper unfair advantage. So like, for example, there are some people who are like super duper good and they're gonna like, they're just better, they're like absolute top level pros. And it's like, you guys are gonna eliminate the majority of the people that are here. And I don't really like that. Cause it's like, I don't know if you've ever gone to an event and like got one and done. Where you like take a race heat and you're like, I'm done. Like, it's like, okay, cool. Like, if you're the pros, that's whatever. But
I
whoever
want to say that happened the last time I raced Maryhill at a Maryhill.
getting one and done is intimidating. Like having it so you're like, okay, whoever gets one and done in the first two heats, like you guys are now in this other bracket, and this other bracket is racing out for like shit as well. So it's like, okay, we'll determine what the amateur league is based on who doesn't advance. You know what I'm saying? So like you can be, keeping it more casual and getting it back to the fun of it all. And the other one I would say is like potentially leathers, but you have to wear knee and elbow pads because there's so many people who've like never worn knee and elbow pads. And it's like, well, now you've got to wear them. Like, wouldn't that be funny? Just like people get married, like I've never worn knee pads. It's like, well, you've got to now. Like no leathers, just knee and elbow.
That would be so awkward.
It would be awkward, but it would be funny because everyone would be inconvenienced the same.
Yeah.
And people would be like scavenging, like, oh crap, where'd I leave my knee pads? Like that type of stuff is really funny to me. And once again, bringing it back down to the everyman. Like why I got into it was like my friends were doing it. It's like, oh man, there's a hill near me. I can do this. And now I look at racing, I'm like, I can't do that the same. When you see people like packing for a European flight and they're like, I'm not bringing underwear or socks so I can bring more fresh wheels. And you're like, wait, what? I'm packing extra of the two things that you're talking about. I'll find wheels when I'm there. So that's been happening. I don't know how you feel about racing. Like for me, it's been all about free rides. I've missed almost every Maryhill race, but I've missed very few Maryhill free rides.
I like racing. It's fun, but something's happened in the last, 4 or 5 years where anytime I get on the line and I'm going to race, I get just kind of, I used to feed off this feeling that's like butterflies and like, we're going to go, we're going to do it, we're going to get in there. And I don't know anymore. It just kind of makes me feel like I want to throw up, and I'd rather just like do it for fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like my competitive side has like kind of gone away.
You're like not as competitive. You think it'd be, for example, when you put on all the leathers and stuff and you like really took it seriously and you have fresh wheels, that's one level of butterflies. But it's like very different when you show up at the line and you're like, okay, I'm wearing like, they only like, that would be super funny. You show up for the race and everyone like got their leathers and it's like, no, cool. Yeah, we took your $245 entry fee and we bought everybody double XL knee pads and you have to wear these going down the hill.
That's
and everyone's
hilarious.
just like, what the fuck? I can't. It's like, yeah, you have to wear double. Like, I don't care how, but like they have to be on your knees. And also like, these are the wheels you're racing. And everyone's like, but I got a wheel sponsor. Like, cool. Then you lose. Like you can either ride the crappy wheels
I think
that we
that would
provided.
make a lot of people mad.
I don't care. It's not about them.
That's the fun part.
Yeah, that's the fun part. It's like, I don't care. For all the people it makes mad, there's going to be someone that's going to be like, dude, now I stand a chance. Like my leathers have been blown. Like I don't have all those wheels, but now it's like, yo, everybody's back in. Oh, your tuck's super good. How is it with double XL knee pads? Like probably not super good. These are the things that make me laugh. And I think it'd be funny to get it back to that point because everyone's so good now. Like I go and skate with people and I'm just like,
Yeah, some of the stuff that I see when I watch videos,
it just hurts.
my mind is blown.
Okay.
I'm super impressed. I just, I can't believe the level that it's come to. I would have never thought when I first started skating that I would see some of the stuff that I'm seeing on a longboard. You
Like,
know?
what would you say like your gnarliest accomplishment on a longboard is? Like event finish, or like road you've skated, or thing you're like, oh man, this is where I was like really at the peak of my.
McNeil Canyon, before they chip sealed it, with Tad and the Wenatchee boys, Cole and Cameron,
Yep.
and there was a century ride where there was a bunch of people on bikes,
Mm-hmm.
and they were riding up and then riding back down on their 10 speeds, and we basically got to draft like hundreds of bikers that day. It's a 68-mile-an-hour hill when there's no wind, and we ended up having a tailwind that day, and we had a tailwind with drafting these bikes, hands down the fastest I've ever gone. We didn't have any way to measure it, but I mean, it's probably well over 70 that day.
And in terms of bikes passed, it was a
We were
lot.
passing these bikers like they were stopped on the hill. I mean, they couldn't keep up.
Really.
Yeah. When you're above 60 miles an hour, they're not nearly as aerodynamic when you're in your tuck and
Yeah.
going.
And you're in leathers as well. And
yeah.
they're like probably not in leathers.
They're wearing spandex stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You feel a little bit safer when you're that low to the ground in your leathers versus like that high up off the ground in your spandex.
Yeah.
So that's
hands down, that's the most memorable. Matter of fact, when I was just out in Wenatchee or Chelan this last weekend, I thought about going out there, but
like,
it's gonna break my heart to see a chip seal,
I never skated it when it was in its peak condition, which is a bummer. I drove by it a bunch, but I was like, oh man, I'm not. There's a bunch of other roads around there that I always thought would be that are arguably more fun, more drifts, steeper, but like it's kind of like, oh, but now there's this thing that like isn't available for you to skate the way that other people had skated it, and that to me is like, I fucked that one up.
Actually, another thing that blew my mind. So, out there's that road at Eniat. It goes out kind of like up into the woods, super steep, right? So
Yeah, I'm familiar with this road. I've taken the person that I initially heard about it from was Cole Galbraith.
Yeah.
And he told Rain about it.
First time we went out there, we looked at this thing and we're like, oh my God, we're going to be sliding like every 5 feet. And that's how it was. Basically, you go down, throw a slide, go down, throw a slide, throw a slide all the way down. We went out there with the, just to show progression, right? We went out there with the Subsonic guys and, had a carload of, they had taken some guys from California. I can't remember who all was here, a bunch of young guys. And they're like, we're driving up this and like, oh, think we're going to get to bombing this thing by the end of the day? And I thought to myself, bombing this thing? I mean, last time we came out here, we were hucking slides all the way down to like try to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
No shit. By like the end of the day, the following day, we woke up and we skated all day. We were bombing the damn thing where basically you'd be bombing down into it. And I mean, even I was doing it. I couldn't believe it. These guys like pushed my limits. You're bombing down into it and then you lay your slide right before the corner, take the corner.
Pull up that raw run.
Yeah, you got something?
I got a guy that's it's a really gnarly road. So when you guys found it, this is in the 5 mile days. And what essentially happened, I believe it's called Big Fast Little Road. And so like you guys had skated it early on, and there's a picture of somebody skating it way back in the day, and Rain used to ride for 5 mile. And then at a certain point, like he stopped riding for 5 mile when 5 mile went away, and him and I were working together, and we were dealing with the like we were out in that area, and I was like, Rain, like there's a road out here that like Cole told me about one time, and he said it was super good and blah blah blah, and he was like, oh yeah, I think I remember where it was. And Rain, like he is just loopty-doopty. He's got that memory that you're just like, I don't trust a word you're fucking saying. He's like, yeah, it's this way, and like he literally gives us the direction, like we got to take a left here, and then we drove into the woods for like 20 minutes, and then he's like, I think there's a left you got to take across a bridge, and then like we drive, and then there's a hill. And like shit you not, that's how we found it. Like exactly like to a T, we found it. He's like, yeah, this is it. And we drive up it, and the pavement's terrible, and then it like gets even steeper, and the pavement gets good, and we skated it, and I was like, this is the best road I've ever seen. Like holy shit. And I couldn't skate it. Like I was pendying down it, and the last time that I went there, I skated it okay. I think I did like 3 or 4 slides, and I felt like, dude, you are
That's what I'm saying.
whistling
like,
Dixie, like make it go, boo boo.
that's what I'm saying. It's
Like this is Morgan. I don't know if you've met Morgan Owens before.
oh yeah.
This dude,
Such an epic run. This video, man.
man, we call this guy the Corvette because he's got that American horsepower when he skates. This is like, the other thing that I always think is crazy is like, you guys didn't really know how to pre-drift. Like, we know how to pre-drift nowadays. And that to me is always just like, you guys were bombing some big friggin' hills.
I only knew how to stand-up slide and only heel side stand-up slides because I used to, ride shortboards where we'd do that stuff. But none of the other guys really did that. That was like my short, regular skateboarding stuff.
It was like you picked it up from skateboarding and then you got it over. But like this corner right here. So did you...
See, we were kind of doing like, this the last time we went there. And I would never thought that we would have been able to do stuff like that. Not even me. Like, they got me to where I was kind of
That's how when the first time I went there, I didn't want to skate it because I was like, there's no way. And then I started skating it with people and they're like, oh, dude, like, you don't have to worry about sliding in this part. It's only 50 miles an hour. Like, there's a corner down there to slide at. And you're like, dude, I don't want to go 50 on this road that's like a foot wide. And I don't want to like bomb through this. And like, it's fine. Cause like, you're going to do like a heel side down here and it'll be all good.
Exactly.
And they say it and you're like, you know what? Maybe it will be okay. And you don't die.
Getting some. Look at him go.
Yeah. He's, he good. Morgan's got that flow. But yeah, that run in particular is one of those just like, what the hell? Like the upper section's also pretty gnarly. It's not like gnarly in the same way. Like that's like fast and drifting. The upper section's like battle stance, chip sealed, on the edge of grip and dusty, which I think is really fun. If you're ever in the opportunity to like have everything below your waist go numb, the upper part of that road's a ton of fun to skate.
Did you also film the
Looks pretty stoked.
the Sam Gallus Is It Wet Yet? Did you film that too?
Yeah, I did.
That was a good video.
I did. That one, yeah, it like started raining. I was like, Sam, get out and skate. And he's like, is it wet yet? And I was like, I don't know. Like, it's probably wet. Like, you'll be fine. It's like Sam skated that road, stand up, right as it started raining. And like got to the bottom and literally got pretty much all the way to the point. And you can like see him theining and he does one slide and it stops theining and then the road's wet. It's like, oh my goodness.
He just barely got it.
Yeah, but let's actually see some of you. Like Dennis the Menace returns. Speaking of 5 Mile, how'd you get like linked up with these guys? These yahoos, if you will.
That's a good question. Just from skating with them. Skating around here, going down to Tacoma.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to like get done.
They built me some boards.
Get done with school.
Yep.
We'd go skate.
Doing that day.
That's about it.
Just roll around, put my headphones.
You weren't.
This was all Cody's idea right here. We're gonna get you on the ramp and the couch and get you up because doing.
I was about to say you had a job at that point. You weren't sleeping on a couch in the 5 Mile factory.
Actually, so during this time, I was in between. I had just moved back from Bellingham, so I wasn't working. I was just doing nothing that summer except for drinking a lot of beer and skateboarding. Yeah, I took about, I don't know, it took me about 6 months to get back in where I'm working.
Okay.
Yeah, so I took about 6 months where I just did nothing but really skate.
Dude, the dream. That's what I'm talking about.
For me, that's the feeling. So rad.
That is, I assume you're talking about drafting.
Yeah.
Whoa. You've had that vehicle for a long time now. How many miles you got on that noble steed?
On this motor?
Yeah. Oh.
A lot. I actually just replaced all the suspension on it. I'm actually feeling kind of beat because I was working on it all day today.
You told me it took you 2 hours to get a bolt out.
One bolt, yeah.
Is that Nahum?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another road that's chip sealed.
Yep, it is.
Yep.
We went up and we skated it in the chip seal the other day.
Oh, my Dennis.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. It looks so much tighter than it really was.
I know the road, and I know that you don't want to be on the uphill car part of it. Man, dude, there are a couple roads out there that got removed from the ability to skate list. And this is a bummer that this is one of them because this one was...
I have a feeling that we had something to do with that.
Them chip sealing it? No, I don't think that was it. I mean,
Nah.
they chip seal roads after a certain amount of time in order to preserve them for longer.
But they were never chip sealed before.
I mean, yeah, that's how it goes. They don't chip seal them until they chip seal them. And I don't think they would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to chip seal that road.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying that it was asphalt before, right? And rather than replace the asphalt, they were like, we can just chip seal this, and then we won't have the skaters coming out here anymore. Because Nahum Canyon used to hate us out there.
Yeah, I mean, as they should. You guys were ripping. You guys were.
We weren't unsafe though. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
it's no different than riding a motorcycle down the road, really.
yeah, and those dudes ride motorcycles up the road way
no handlebars.
faster. Yeah. Where's that? Is that McNeil?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the top before you get really moving.
You're booking on that. What leathers do you have? Is this some NJK stuff?
Those are NGKs, yeah.
Ooh, and what trucks are you riding?
Those ones I got Era K4s on that board.
Man, moving on up in the world.
Yeah, I'm rocking the some Paris right now.
Really? How come? The Savants?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you're rocking the good stuff. Those things are fun, but those eras when they came out, man, it was just cool to have them. You're like, oh, I'm on the cool team. These things are hard to come by.
I love those trucks.
What'd you do with them? Do you still have them?
No, I got rid of them.
How come?
I just never used to ride them. They're I like a little bit narrower.
Oh, and those like 184s or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those look, and then this is when you're riding for Divine as well.
Yeah.
Wait, there's a Paris patch on your leathers.
Yeah, they used to send me trucks.
Paris used to send you eras.
No, they used to send me trucks, Paris trucks.
And this whole video is on eras.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
What's wrong with that?
I don't.
I used to race on the Paris.
Okay, so you used to lose on the Paris trucks, but
Yeah.
when like you were filming and bombing,
Exactly.
Okay, you're like, I'm gonna do this on the eras. Okay, I was about to say those Paris trucks are super cool, but like I don't know about racing on them, especially at the time when like all those like eras and monkeys and all those types of trucks were coming out. It was like, damn, you're actually kind of good at longboarding still. Like this is fast. You've gone faster than I've ever gone on a longboard. Oh yeah. Big time.
How fast you gone?
I would say 55 to 58 miles an hour. That's kind of like, I really think at some point I'd like to go above 60 just to say I did it, but
I think you can slide faster than me though. Stand up.
I've definitely stand up for sure. But I've slid at that speed. I've slid at 55 miles an hour. So like that's something.
No hand?
No. Oh, I put my hand on the ground like it owed me money, man. I was not fucking around. I was going super duper fast, and I got into a position where I was getting like pulled down a hill. The two people in front of me like went side by side and started drafting, and I like started catching up really fast, and they didn't make there wasn't a pass made, and so I just got like sucked into the speed tunnel. And we were going through some sweepers. Like we went through a right sweeper and I was kind of in Jesus mode, like both hands up, like trying to air brake. And then we went through the left and I remember like still getting pulled in and I like put my hand down and like, I was like, I'll just do a little slide and like did a little slide and like to a stop, like got the wheels a little sideways and didn't know what the hell I was doing at that speed. And like,
What
like
the wheels look like when you were done?
black, like it was a pretty fresh blacktop road and it was lime zigzags 70 millimeter with brand new built-ins, and I remember that they were brand new built-ins purely because of the fact that I like one of them got fucked up in the process of me changing wheels because I slid, blacked them all out, and then there was like a lumpy part on them. I was like, oh, I gotta change wheels, and then when I went to change wheels, I ended up denting one of the bearing shields, and it was like fucked them, and it was like I'd literally skated them for like 4 minutes at that point. I was like, well, I hate my life. There's no reason left to live.
Sucks.
Yeah, that's a learning curve. And now they all have rubber shields, so you don't have to worry about that as much. But when they had those like metal shields, oh, bummer. Like so you learned how to slide on a skateboard, then you learned how to slide on a longboard with soft wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And what time is this?
2003 probably.
Okay, so like you're in longboarding, but you can actually like stand up slides. You're kind of ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Then when did like glove down sliding kind of pick up?
Glove down was first. Stand up kind of came later.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I remember seeing people start stand up sliding for the first time at more than just like pushing speed and just being like, what? Like, don't they know there's no way this is going to keep going that way. Like, I remember like seeing stand-up slides going down and being like, no one's going to get into this. Like, it's too dangerous. Like,
Glove down, losing that pocket. you know, taking the pocket off, putting the cheek down.
Yep, that one. The other one that happened for me all the time was like, you go to do your pendy and you like burn off your pocket, and so you like are like, I'll do anything to avoid landing.
Skin?
Yeah, to avoid landing on the pocket, and then like your form gets all screwed up because you're like, oh, when I crash in my normal way, I like land on my pocket. So now I'm going to turn like this so that my pocket doesn't get burned off. And I'm just such an idiot that like I got road rash on the sides of my thighs because I was unwilling to land on my butt. I was like, I'm getting the same amount of road rash, just not on my butt. And that's,
I used to just get it in the same spot over and over again.
yeah, the hot spots. Like one knee has all the road rash, the other elbow has all the road rash, and like an ass cheek.
Yep,
You know?
cheek, left cheek,
Left cheek.
every time.
Yeah, me too. I'm regular. Left cheek, left knee, right elbow. Those are my key falling points. The right elbow, because like you start falling here and then you just like get that hand out, and this one would always get chicken winged where like I'd fall on it and you get like you just fall and slide on like that.
Yeah, and take all the skin.
Dude, just sucks. I hated it.
You gotta like road rash a little bit to do what we do. I mean,
Dude, okay. This is where people are gonna start tuning out. Do you ever pick your scabs?
well, I have.
I mean, like because like I'm sure you've gotten some continental road rash before, where like you and your scab have like a couple weeks together, where you're like picking around the outside, and you're just like, oh, that little piece is about to flake off, and then you help it flake off. Like I'm not saying like
You gotta get
sitting
your
there-
nail up under the side of it.
Yeah, I'm not saying like you gotta like pick the entire thing off every day. I'm saying like there are certain pieces that want you to remove them,
No,
and that's mildly entertaining.
if you get your fingernail under the right part, you can create what's called the scab tab. And then just remove the whole thing all at once.
And besides internet fame, why would you do that?
Oh no, you don't. You don't do that for internet fame. You just do it to get rid of the old one and get a new one.
Okay.
It's like, putting on a new Band-Aid.
Exactly. Have you ever heard of Tegaderm?
Yeah, it's actually good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but like there's definitely a break-even point as far as maturity goes,
So-
where you're like, oh my God, like I'm not going to just have open wounds anymore. Like I'm going to have Tegaderm in my car and like antibacterial stuff.
So I love that. Tegaderm, is that the same as like
It's like a saran wrap.
Sanoderm kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's like a semi-permeable plastic see-through membrane that you can
Yep.
like put over, and it makes like its own wound thing.
that is
so
it's
good.
heavenly.
It like
Yeah,
cuts your
that's the
road rash
best
time
stuff.
down, but you don't get your scab tabs. Like
You don't know because it keeps everything nice and
yeah, so when you're talking about like doing that, like there are a couple times like Max Ripperman has a super good one on his Instagram where he like rips like like a chunk of scab off. And at the time I was like, yo, if I ever do it again, if I ever give it a bunch of road rash, like I'll definitely scab tab something huge, just because like, man, it pisses like nobody watches that and is like, yo, sick. Everyone's like, oh, gross, why would you do it? And you're like, come on, like we've all picked every one of our scabs. Like
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. It's one of my favorite things, like picking scabs, or like my other favorite is when it's like dry and it's just healed, and then like you're kind of like flaking skin, and you can just like, oh,
The most satisfying is just to wait until it's healed underneath, and then when you pick it, there's nothing underneath it.
Yeah, and it's
that's
dry.
like
real
Oh.
it's like
constraint,
it's almost
though.
like you've healed yourself.
yeah, you like pull it off, and it's like, yeah, that is one of the best parts of. I mean, that's just a move of experiencing composure. That's a lot of patience. You got to be very calm in order to wait that long and not just assassinate that thing every time. I like I said, it takes a lot to be a legend, and this is what we have. So I'm just like super fascinated by all these like races you did and like where you've been. And then the other thing that I thought was really cool, the Seattle garages, because you had brought me out. I want to say it's like 7 or 8 years ago, and we went and did like a bunch of Seattle garages in an evening and like hit it as a loop.
Yep.
And so I haven't done it since, but it's something that I feel like that booklet of information needs to be passed down. And I'm wondering, who should I go to get them to show me all the Seattle garages to hit in like that succession? Because the night that we did it, we skated like 10, 15 different garages
Skated a lot, yeah.
in a row and like getting kicked out. I was like, oh my God, these guys are kicking us out. And you're like, yeah, fuck them. Like, we'll go to the next one. And like, you like, were like, hey man, hold my shit. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, gave me like your helmet and gloves and board and like snuck into this garage and opened the emergency exit. And like, we all went up and I was
That's
like,
the key right there. You pretend like you're going to get your car,
mm-hmm.
and you go in, and then you let people in the back door.
And
And then you don't go any lower than the level above where all the guards are,
mm-hmm.
and you skate until they tell you to leave
but you had it down
And
to a
then you leave
science and you were
gracefully.
and you were generous and you were beautiful about it. But yeah, you were.
Yeah, so we had the Benaroyal. Typically, we'd go to 2nd Avenue, and
Yep.
then there was 2 garages there, the Benaroyal and the one we called the Swirly. Swirly was a left, 7-level left, all
Yep.
the way down, butter smooth inside. And that was the one where I had to have you guys hold my stuff to go, let everybody in.
Yeah, to sneak in.
Benaroyal was right across from that, and from the top of Benaroyal, you could see the whole Swirly. So if you could have somebody with a camera at the Benaroyal filming the Swirly, you would get some really good footage. We only did that maybe one time, and the footage probably
Was back in
somebody's- it's probably on a-
2007.
It's probably on a tape, like a
VHS tape. Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah, so then there was the one called the Crazy, and that one had 2, it was like 2 or 3 different style parking garages all moshed together. Had a spiral down the middle, had long runs down the sides, and then it had like basically ramps, on each side, 4 levels on the very top. And that one was one that would be super easy to get lost in.
I was about to say,
we
there were a couple of them where you're like, follow me, and then you'd be fucking gone. You'd be gone
you'd
like
split up.
so fast. And I'm just like
Yep.
skating this area in downtown is this like wet behind the ears white boy who doesn't know shit about fuck. And like, I'm gone, I'm lost, and I'm like, what do I do? And then like someone would come up and be like, hey, over here, stupid. And I'd be like, oh, cool. Like, yes, I found the gang again.
Yeah, so I mean, we just run them all, basically work our way and then end up. The last one we'd always hit was the Butler 114 down in Pioneer Square. And that was 14 floors. 3 of them were underground, and you had to duck under the gate.
Yep.
But that one you have to wait until the guards are gone and wait for a car to come out.
So you can sneak into the actual,
once a car comes out, if you work your way in there, I mean, you can basically skate. We used to skate there until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
And it's 14 floors.
And it's 14 floors with an elevator.
Yeah. That was one of those nights I was like, you guys are really good at this. Like, I need to figure this out.
Yeah, it was fun.
So do you know anyone now that still does that? I mean,
Oh man, it's been probably 5 or 6 years since we've run any of them. Yeah.
yeah.
But
And
I'm sure they're probably all still good to go. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that we could go right now and probably run them.
there's only really one way to find out.
Right.
Yeah. And then how'd you get the nickname The Menace? Obviously, having a first name Dennis.
Oh, it's from Chan Center. So because I got second and I went up there and I won and I took the beer, somebody, the Canadians, they said I was a Seattle Menace coming up there taking their cheese.
Mm-hmm.
So Bryson is the one that gave me that nickname.
Oh, and if Bryson
And
gives you a nickname, it
It's
sticks.
stuck, yeah.
Yeah.
Stuck through all the years.
And I mean, he'll. I mean, you just hear it now, like Dennis the Menace coming up here taking our money, like that type of stuff. He's worth the. I wish that we were in a position where we could have Bryson commentate on every longboarding event. Like
He's so fun to listen to.
it's just it makes me so happy.
So how are we doing on time?
I have no idea. I haven't checked. We've just been jamming. We drank some beers. We had to pee. It happens. Except Dennis. Dennis is a true gentleman. It was just me.
I got a tiny bladder.
Yeah. So we were just talking about like the kind of BS and that if you had the $1 million and like what, like you won the mega billion millions, and we were kind of talking about like Mary Hill and stuff like that. We were getting on the subject of like paving a road up to the top of one of those windmills, and you were suggesting.
Well,
I mean,
not just one. Multiple roads.
Multiple roads.
Downhill skateboard park.
With the ski lift at the top of it.
Definitely repurposed ski lift. We got to go to like one of the passes. It's like just put in some new stuff and get one of their old chairs.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in. And then you'll have like, your one run that's like straight from like the top of that hill over there, straight all the way down with a nice run out. Maybe a little uphill.
Yeah,
down one side and up the other maybe. for your, your 90, 100 mile an hour record breaking runs where you're going to like build your speed. We're going to be doing 100 miles an hour stand up. Okay. Yeah, but not today. Maybe like 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road.
People did 91 miles an hour, and I
fast.
really believe that like if there was a road where they could go 100 stand up, like someone would do 100. Like,
Yeah.
someone would crash doing 99, but someone would succeed doing 100. Like that's.
So you make one, from one side of the top, down the other, up the other wall. So you get your speed run, and then you got Maryhill. That's pretty good. Then you make another.
Yeah, Maryhill's pretty okay.
You make another Maryhill though, like one that's like
from the top as
like
well.
a mirror image of Maryhill, just steeper, right next to it on the hillside.
From the top.
So now
With
you have
drifts.
Maryhill, and then you have 60 mile an hour Maryhill. You got your world record speed run. Then all you need is something a little technical, just for fun, slidey stuff.
You could build like a
And
giant's
that's it.
head.
You build a house at the bottom and you live there.
I like the idea of the 60 mile an hour rip and grip run, but I'm also a big fan of the like 60 mile an hour drifty, turny, like you're just dying run.
Let's put one of those in too.
Yeah, I was about to say, but this is just involves one of us hitting the Mega Millions. And that's
Sounds like it involves a couple of us.
the Mega Millions. Yeah.
Possibly.
Depends. It depends. I don't know.
What are
is
the
it?
odds?
I mean, if
Hey, you got to play to win.
yeah, I'll just tell you this: if I get $38 million, I'll pay something. I'll be proud. Like, dude, you should have invested this in like Bitcoin. I'm just like, homie. Like, look at my road. Like, can I skate it? Absolutely not. Like, this is my road. Got my own private chairlift.
Yeah. I'd say, come on.
Yeah, I mean, you would.
Hop on.
No, it's how you build it up. And people are like, "Well, I can't skate your road." But
I mean,
oh, okay,
you
I'll
could
let
probably-
you. I'll let you skate it, but you got to tell all your friends.
You could probably get a pretty cheap chairlift in if you only put like one or two chairs on it.
Ah, yeah. So like my like multi-billion $1 million idea is some sort of property in the Cascades somewhere and put a chairlift on that's like a 1-person or a 2-person chair, so that in the wintertime it's snowboarding, and then in the
Powder run.
summertime it is got an access trail up to the top of it. And so like that would be my, and then like a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom house at the bottom, and just like
That would be ideal.
that would be pretty. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
But-
that would be ideal. You get the
If you could use the chairlift both ways.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love people. I just don't like sharing my powder with them. And so like when it comes down to like snowboarding, and it was like, oh yeah, like I heard Snoqualmie got like 18 inches today or whatever the case may be. And you're like, it did. And you're like, what'd you do? And it's like, well, I crawled out of my bed at 10 o'clock and I turned on my own ski lift and I rode by myself all day. And we won't tell anybody about that because it's highly illegal to run your own ski lift. But like, here we are, baby.
It can't be that illegal.
I mean,
if you own the land.
if you own the land, I mean, it is America. So
You're
like,
just talking about putting in a ski lift.
just putting in a ski lift and like, so like your back deck is just like ski lift, you know? And like there's my back deck. There's a little like Traeger grill or something, and then like boom, ski lift. So you just like turn it on, and then you hop on it, and you go up to the top, then you like ride back down.
Okay, so
But you have to leave it running the entire time.
Since we're totally talking about just
Things that are never going to happen. Yeah,
totally wild, you might as well just go drone.
have a drone take you back up.
Homing drone takes you, picks you up, takes you to the top, drops you off. It flies back to the bottom. He meets you down there.
Might be cheaper.
I think it'd be a lot cheaper.
Wow, that'd
Much
be-
more versatile too, because you're not stuck on one hill. You can do it on any hill.
Ooh, I mean, I've seen drones
You know
that
what?
like have hammocks and like
If somebody's not working on this out there right now, you guys better get on this like stat, because this is a great idea. Like a little
Yeah, there's-
personal drone to drop your ass off at the top of the mountain like heli skiing, and then meet you at the bottom.
And I mean, it's really, this is one of those like things, like it's just a problem money can solve. And there are some people out there with plenty of money. And if you have a drone that can just like, and like take you to the top, dump your fat ass off, and then go back to like a charging station at your house and just like charge it up, like, man, that would be,
I like it.
that'd be as good as it gets.
I think I'd give up the electric for that.
I mean, you'd give up your electric longboard to have a personal flying private electric drone
'cause-
so that you could only downhill skate and then you just get back in your personal private electric drone to go back up to the top of the hill. I could see that being a worthwhile trade.
Because the electric is really fun, but it's not downhill. I mean, it's
No.
close. It's close. But downhill, you got two hands. You can put,
It's a lot of extra shit to bring to the table to have fun. That's one of the things that's like, I love snowboarding, but there's a lot of gear. There's a lot of extra money necessary to go snowboarding. But like downhill skating, and like you should have a helmet and you should have gloves. But like if you just have a board and you stand on that board and you're on a hill, you're probably downhill longboarding. Like there's very, very rarely an opportunity where you've stood on a longboard on a hill and haven't
I agree.
turned into an amateur downhill longboarder.
Yeah.
Professional bail reel actor though. So yeah, I think that's super crazy. I wouldn't have ever thought of drones, but you're right. That would be the best way to get back to the top of the hill.
Yeah, a little personal electric.
It's got like a hammock in it, so you're like, "Meow." Like I'm sure you've seen the one of the dude who's got the hammock on the drone. He's like just hovering around. Yo, Kyle,
No, I have not.
fingers, pull it up. I figured you'd be all into this electric drone shit. There are people who have been like ahead of it. I don't know if this is true, but there's like a bunch of drones, and I don't know what country they did this in, but they flew a bunch of drones with lights on them up, and the drones formed like a QR code in the sky.
I saw that too.
What?
That was
Yeah,
so
and so you
sweet.
could scan it and like
You're kidding.
no, dude, shit is awesome.
Oh, man.
Dude, there's so many personal drone videos.
Of people who have made personal drones that are
Yes.
flying around. Please show me one. Oh yeah,
So I've seen a couple.
yeah.
What?
Dude? You got free time, homie?
Like what?
This could. Let me know what the cost on that is.
I got 2 months off.
I've got. I got a couple dollars in my pocket. You let me know what it's gonna cost. That, dude, you want to talk about some real shit? Like that is a drone project to get into. Oh my.
Dude.
What?
Oh, yeah. If I had unlimited resources, I'd totally build something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, or if you could embezzle resources from your new job, you could build something like that as well pretty easily.
I'd have to buy like one motor at a time. You know how much those motors cost?
Well, Johnny Cash wrote a song about that. One piece at a time. Talks about building a Cadillac that way, stealing pieces. It was a 54, 55, 56, something or other. You know how it goes.
Yeah, that's mesmerizing.
Dude, drones are the best.
No,
Like,
I want you just get in it. You just have it take you to the top.
You've like pre-programmed locations.
You get out. You send it to the bottom. That's it.
I'm sure it's doable because they have the drones now that like can film you. I don't know if you've seen those. The ones like you have your cell phone on you
Oh, yeah.
and the drone films the cell phone.
I got one of those.
You do. And how does that work? What does that look like? Is that pretty sweet?
You just draw a box around whatever you want it to follow, and it follows it.
Oh, it's that easy.
It's super simple. Yeah, it's the flight controls on those things are crazy.
And how well does it work?
It works pretty good.
Like,
It works up to like I think 25 miles an hour or something, where it's got object avoidance.
oh, okay. Do you think you could fly through Slug Wars?
No,
No.
I tried. No, I tried. I took it to Slug Wars, and it basically senses stuff, but it kind of like loses, like it'll lose track of you when you're in there.
Yeah, that could make sense. But like if it was open,
Maryhill, it does good at Maryhill.
but it probably couldn't keep up with the speed, or
It'll do 40 if it's got no object avoidance, but with no object avoidance, it can run into stuff. So it'll keep up, but it's kind of, you got to be someplace where there's no trees or anything.
yeah, no trees or a bunch of turns that it doesn't have to go super fast and can avoid little things.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like it's good at Maryhill. It'll follow Maryhill, no problem.
Damn. You have one of these, and how much was it?
It's about $1,200.
That's it. Can you also fly it like as a normal drone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a Mavic 2 Pro.
And it's just got different modes where you can like do. That's sick.
Does a point of interest where it'll like, circle around something. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Go piss off your neighbors.
Yeah.
You hit them up at like 3 p.m, just like make it circle around them and then fly off.
I can't fly it anywhere near my house because you're too close to the airport.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those like you have to get like certified or FAA. One of my buddies does professional drone stuff, and he was telling me about like all the stuff he has to call in. He was doing a shoot down at Gasworks Park, and just like talking about like calling in, like, you know, oh, I'm taking off at this point and doing this. I'm like, dude, you're flying a little drone. Like, is it really that important? And he's like, dude, it is huge. Like, it is a really big deal to like be flying a drone without like doing this. And I was like, oh, I did not know that. And
Yeah, I've
like,
definitely flown a lot of drones illegally in very illegal
So like,
and that's half the fun.
you know, the little ones you can fly without like a number, but anything over like half a pound has to have a number on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that number is, you know, it's like a license plate
Yeah.
for the most part. And then if you're flying commercially, you got to do all that stuff. So technically, I can't fly my drone at night because I don't have a night permit. I only have just the drone permit, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. He had to get a bunch of them so he could do this kind of stuff. And he was showing me some videos that were just like, I mean, they're talking about like filming abandoned buildings, but like not filming from the drone, but hooking the drones up with these huge lights and then filming from one point of view and having the drone fly over these abandoned buildings with like these very focal lights. Oh, wow. So it's lighting up different layers of the like of these things. And I was just like, this is so sick. And he's like, really cool. You can fly them for like 4 minutes at a time because they're sucking so much battery to like have a drone flying, like blasting. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But I mean, the shots that they were getting, I was like, this is the good shit, baby.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I mean, you can have a lot of fun with those.
I ran into a guy in downtown Charleston when I was there. He was flying like a professional. I think it had 8 different propellers on it. You know, it was huge. And the city had hired him to kind of look at, you know, basically aerial views of all the different architecture down there.
It's a good gig.
Yeah, it was. He had the same thing. He had to call it in when he was taking off, and he had a lot of, you know. Whereas I have just like a little hand controller on my phone, this guy had like a freaking computer. You know?
Yeah, they can get a lot of controls. He has, you know, they can get to the point where they have one person flying the drone, one person steering the camera on the drone, and then another person pulling focus on that lens.
Wow.
And doing stuff like that. And so, like, yeah, but he's, I mean, he filmed this thing. There was this, really cool. I forget what it is. It's like an Oldsmobile ad. And there's like a ferry cruising along. And I forget who's in it, but I think that Matthew McConaughey is in it. But it's an Oldsmobile ad. And Google it.
Lincoln. That'd be Lincoln.
Lincoln?
If Matthew McConaughey was in it, it'd be Lincoln.
I don't know. But long story short, there's like a drone flying around like a ferry that has one car on it. And he's flying the drone. And you're just like, oh my God. Like,
it's pretty epic.
Yeah, we get it. You're getting paid for that shot.
It's crazy.
That could be us. Oh man, dude, we got an electric vehicle rider coming down the hill. He's on a one wheel.
One wheel.
Yep. Those things make me.
He's actually getting some. Look at him go.
Yeah. Oh, blow that stop sign, buddy, in your snowboard helmet.
Story of my life.
Oh, dude. I used to say this, and I'm ashamed of myself that I did. I used to refer to 4-way stop signs as green lights.
Really?
Because everybody's got to stop except me, homie. Just boom. Yeah, this is back in like 2007, 2008, 2009. Like when I was skating with the group of people I used to, like Eric Christiansen and Dave Kirchhoff.
Slow down?
Fuck no, dude. I blew so many 4-way stops. Like,
did you ever have them get creamed?
No. Because I live in Lake Forest Park and people don't break the law there because, like, it's. I mean, I say that in like the nicest way. It's just like a very like suburban-y, like, watch out, our kids live here type of neighborhood.
Like the skateboarders.
I mean, yeah, that's why Lake Forest Park is one of the only areas in Washington where it's like implicitly written like skateboarding or downhill longboarding is not allowed on city streets. And it's just
but is it a felony?
It is a fine, but unfortunately, Lake Forest Park is too broke. So the way you're allowed to be in the street, if you're allowed to be riding your skateboard or longboard or push or gravity powered vehicle in the road if there is not a sidewalk available. And unfortunately, all the great downhill roads don't have sidewalks.
Oh,
so it's like the places that like are flat and you're like skating around town, it's like, oh, like I'll just hop on the sidewalk because it's flat. Who cares? But all the roads like went up out of my like
So they can't. You never had any issues with it.
No, I mean, we had a bunch of issues, but never any like litigious issues. We're like, hey, they're like, you shouldn't do this, but it wasn't. They like couldn't write a ticket because it's like, well, there's no sidewalk, and you guys aren't going to put in like $180,000 sidewalk to give me a $42 ticket, are you? And the answer to that was no. They did not do that. So that was pretty cool. That's like the original Motion board shop, though. Like that whole area where it used to be in Lake Forest Park, like all the roads that were around there just got blown up. Like Holmes Point got blown up, Jeff's got blown up, S-Turns got blown up, like Sketchy Run got blown up. Like Sketchy Run.
Did you guys ever run Simon's?
Oh yeah, a lot. But typically we did it at night because it's such a busy road. We were doing it like 11, 12 at night. And
That's
like,
when we do it, yeah.
Yeah, and that one was super fast. I broke a kingpin on that hill.
How about the apartment complex on the backside?
I
You ever skate that?
not back then. Not when I was riding like Randall 2s and a Hellcat.
But later, you guys.
Oh yeah, I've crawled around that area a bunch since like 2014 on. There's some really fun roads over there, but like I don't know if the pavement is as good because like Simon's is kind of beat up now.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember
It changes, you know.
Yeah,
Simon's was butter smooth when we used to skate it.
Yeah, you know what the real one is Mountain View up above my house. Like that road used to suck and it was super shitty and like it was so slow. And I was like, oh man, this road sucks. Like you'd look at it on the map and it's super swoopy and you're like, oh, it'd be cool, but like the pavement's shit. And like, oh, so I like rode it off for a super long time and then I lived at the bottom of it and like all of a sudden they repaved it like butter smooth blacktop and just like, oh, now it's a 40-mile-an-hour rip and grip with butter smooth pavement and a couple and like two.
You gotta love that, right?
Yeah, and you're just like, oh man, this road's actually cool again. Like this is weird because that's something that like rarely happens. Normally,
No, it usually goes the other way.
normally it does.
Or they
go
chip seal the shit.
or they chip seal it. Like there's a couple roads that got chip sealed where it actually made them better, but like not really. Like I don't know if you ever skated Z turns.
Yes.
Yeah,
I did.
Do you ever go to that outlet race at Z turns?
No.
Oh,
I
dude, that was a bloodbath. It was so good.
I don't think that was a race. We just skated it. I only went there once.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was an outlaw race there, which, I mean, obviously it was held by like a 16 to a 21-year-old. So, like, it was like, yeah, just show up. Like, helmet and gloves required. Like, don't worry, we'll block traffic. And it's like, you know.
No, I think I was there for that.
Okay. It was like, it's like a half-mile road with like a billion driveways on it and like 2 spotters and 4 blind hairpins. And you're just like raging down this terrible road. And like,
No, I was there for that.
yeah.
It didn't feel like a race, though. It just felt like a
really poorly organized session.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how the best races are, Dennis. That's what you're trying to get back to, the hangout, the kickback. That would be the real joy, is getting to the point where like crappy races are being thrown and like they're getting, stopped by the police like 2 rounds from finals. Like I can't tell you how many races that like I went to that got like stopped by the police like right before finals, and you're like, what? What's happening? Like, did you ever race Shoreview, the run that was right behind the Shoreline Community College?
yes.
Oh
Yes.
man, that was another one of those races. It's like, you guys are idiots. Like, this is the most dangerous road you
That
could
was dangerous. That
Yeah.
was just like all out, cars pulling out.
be. Like 45 miles an hour,
Yep.
really hauling ass. Yeah, that road was gnarly. Someone that I went to high school with actually died on that road skating it.
No, really?
Yeah, like 5. I would say this is like probably, I don't know, like I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago.
Longboarding on it?
Longboarding on it, yeah.
Wow.
So he was like skating back in
We didn't- I
2008.
didn't hear about that.
No, he was skating in 2008 with us, like kind of in our little scene. And then like in 2016, after like not skating for 4 or 5, 6 years or something, he took his like old board out and he was like, cruising around. He's like, oh, I'm gonna skate Shoreview again, and like went down it on a board that hadn't been maintained in like 5, 6 years, and like wobbled off his board and ran into a telephone pole. And
Fuck,
no
dude.
helmet, no nothing. Just
Fuck,
dude. Exactly.
That's
Yeah. I mean, can't
See,
save
the
them
thing
all.
is, the thing is, like it can happen, but it's like we do it so much. It's like,
Well, and the other thing is we do it so much on good gear and like also like not putting ourselves, like I've fallen really bad on that Shoreview road, but like I felt confident when I was skating it that it would be okay. But like I knew that my gear was pretty much okay. And like nowadays Like I would feel very confident knowing that my gear's not going to fail, my skills are good, and I have the intelligence to like be able to mitigate a bad situation or avoid a bad situation. And I feel like the gentleman that was skating down the hill in particular he wasn't up to date on his skills or his slides or had slide gloves. And like if you're going 45 miles an hour down a hill, even if you're a really good longboarder, like if you don't have your slide gloves, man, that's like really taking a huge.
You gotta have gloves.
You gotta have gloves.
That's
like,
how you save your ass. You put your hand down.
yeah.
Save yourself. You know?
Or like foot braking is effective, but like you can really slow down and turn if you're drifting, and that's one of those like man, it's like. Ugh, foot braking is really effective. It's probably the best way to stop. But as far as like really saving your bacon, if you know how to drift well with your glove on the ground,
just throw a hand down. I
like
mean,
you can solve a lot of problems.
You can, yeah. If you know how to do that pendy to stop, I mean that'll save your life right there.
Yes, that's probably the main thing you should take away from our entire podcast. Besides the fact that like racing in 2003 was pretty tough based on gear, is that learning how to heel side pendy to a stop at any speed.
No, it was easy. It was easy. The racing then was easy. It's tough now.
Yes, the gear was bad. The racing
gear
was
bad.
easy.
The racing was easy. Now the gear is good. The racing is hard.
Okay,
Yeah, that's it.
That's what it is. You like look over at someone, you're like, man, his bearings may blow up this run. Like I've got him, dude. What were you like? So before
Super glue in the bearings. That was the trick. Yeah, don't you better not leave your board laying around, buddy.
What was so before like ABEC11s? What were you guys racing on wheel wise? Like what was the meta?
That was it for me. That was like when I started racing on ABEC11s. Yeah, flywheels.
The flywheels were the jam.
The amber flywheels.
Oh man, people would.
Oh, cherry bomb. I had a set of cherry bombs too.
Were those any good?
No.
No, I've heard that.
No,
from
they
a
were
lot.
like giant core, little bit of urethane, slide off the road, icy. Like once they broke free, you were going.
I heard that they were also like really bad for like overheating. And stuff.
Kryptonites. Okay, so you could get the kryptonites.
Kryptonics.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Those ones.
Yeah,
Those ones.
yeah.
Kryptonics. The blues. They would totally get hot and then just like
The wheel would pop off.
well,
or, like,
you would you'd get like the outside would like stay like a skin, but then like a rock would puncture it, and like the inside blue would start oozing out of the black. You know.
Yes. Yeah, I've had a couple melted wheels. One of the one of my really good friends rode a set of.
Kryptonites. That's funny. It's been so long.
This may affect my Freewheel Co. sales, but one of my really good friends was riding a set of the Freewheels that I make, and the same thing happened to him. He was like smashing down a run, like on some super small wheels. He was at a SMR.
He had shitty bearing. He got a bearing heated up. That's the only reason that happened.
I mean, it's my buddy. It's my buddy Bradley, and he was nice enough. He's like, "Yo, dude, your wheel melted." And I kind of looked at him. I was like, "Yeah, dog. Like, whoa."
Better bearings, dude.
Yeah, whoops,
That's what
my
you said.
bad.
Better bearings.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, I would say it was probably the wheel. I mean, he got that thing super small. Like, it was probably in like the 60s, and we were skating in like 85-degree weather, and he was going like 45 miles an hour in like probably on a small oval. And so that thing is just warm as shit. Like, so it got warm. He's doing some drifts, and like, I wouldn't be surprised if it like, bad bearing or something like that.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's go with that.
It was probably the bearing.
It was rusted.
It was
He
rusted.
shouldn't have rode in the rain the day before. See?
Exactly. He was, we were in Santa Barbara, dumping rain.
Should have oiled him. Oh, he came from here though, right?
Oh yeah, guaranteed.
'Cause,
He drove down there. It's
was-
because he drove. If he would have flown, the wheel would have never blown up. These are just facts. They're indisputable. So yeah, that's the gear used to suck. You got Smokies. Those were decent. Did you feel like those were good trucks? Because I couldn't do anything on them but go 35 miles an hour or go 40 miles an hour and wobble.
They didn't turn.
No, and they were low. Like you got wheel bite in every board, and they didn't turn.
They didn't turn.
And you were riding like
Honestly, my favorite trucks have always been Randalls with the bent hangers. Give me some good old Randall with some bent hangers. Let's do it.
No, really?
No.
I mean,
Back then,
dude, you used to like early grab and ride Randalls and like do some fucking. I mean, I'm sure you could still do it, like doing big early grabs and like stand up slides and hammer and full runs. back in like the day, and I just remember being like, "Fuck, like, dude, I want to be as good as Dennis one day. Like, this is gonna be sick. Like, I can't wait
And
to
now
ride
you're
like."
all you guys are all better than me. I love it.
I mean, I don't think I'm as ballsy as you. Even today, I feel like you'd still be a little bit ballsier than me. I just know I'm gonna make it to the
I don't
bottom.
know if it's balls or it's stupidity. I just,
I'll be
sometimes I let
honest,
it go. I let it go.
Whenever my balls make the decisions, it's probably stupidity that
See?
follows. It could be both, but like I know that like skating with Lee's tried for like 4 or 5 times. Like, yo, Nate, I'll race you down Maryhill. It's like, no, I'm not gonna race you down Maryhill. Like, you actually try. You have really nice leathers, and I don't care. But like, let's race down Slug Wars. And he's like, no, I can't do it. It's like, okay, it's like a third the speed, but like a little bit of drifting is gonna get in your way. So
Yeah.
that's like, that's
He's
like
just trying to figure that stuff out. He's all stand up,
he needs to.
I am actually really impressed with his determination to get the slide figured out,
It makes a huge difference. Like I was really fortunate. You guys kind of got into the game, and like sliding wasn't that cool, but like right when I started to get in, like glove down sliding and pre-drifting and stand-up sliding was really cool. And even though I was a late adopter to it, because I was like, dude, this stand-up sliding is not going to catch on. Like eventually I kind of figured it out, and I was like, I'll keep doing it. But by no means am I good. Like there are many people that are so much better than me. But to see someone like Lee, who like still says dumb shit to me, like, yo, my Independents are the most stable trucks I've ever ridden. And I'm just like, Lee, shut the fuck up. There's no way you're like ganked ass Independents with stock bushings are good. And he's just like,
dude.
no, man, like you don't get it. And I'm like,
I'm gonna tell you a story, a Lee story. This is a good story. So I didn't know Lee. I had only seen his picture at Dixie's Barbecue. So you go to Dixie's Barbecue in Bellevue. It's like good barbecue over there. There's a poster of Lee. It's either an independent poster or a Vans poster of him on the wall, and he signed it, right? And it was there the last time I went there. Anyways, so I remember seeing that poster when I was in there eating one day, and I thought, man, this is Lee. He just must live around here or something, right? Mm-hmm. So then I met him at the race up at Danger Bay, not 2, it was 3. He showed up to Danger Bay 3. So Chapa won, Danger Bay 2. I got second.
was Danger Bay-
Sorry, I got third. Teddy got second. So at Chan Center.
Which one was Hicks with sticks?
Oh, that was like
4 or 5?
4, yeah.
Okay.
4 or 5, yeah. That was messed up shit.
Yeah.
So Chan Center.
Did we earn it? Did we deserve it? I
Oh
don't
no, we did definitely not. No, it was basically some girls heard that there was a party at the racer
campsite,
camp, right?
yeah.
So they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go," and then those girls' boyfriends got jealous or something, and they're the ones that showed up and did all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tried to beat up a bunch of skaters. Well,
No, just attacked. Nighttime attack. I was staying in the hotel that event.
whoa, you wouldn't have been able to race if I was hosting that event.
I know,
you wouldn't
right?
have gotten your
I know.
4 a.m. punch.
Well,
I mean,
we
you're
were
lucky.
we were up at 4. We were on the roof of our hotel room. No, so
It's hard to get the boys together and make responsible decisions. I'm with you on that one.
yeah, no, we heard about it the next day. We couldn't believe it.
What happened essentially? Just like all I know is Hicks was sticks, and like people came to the campsite.
The guys apparently they showed up with like hockey sticks and were like pounding on people's tents, like beating the shit out of people from the outside of the tent, inside the tent with the hockey sticks, or knocking on the tent. Somebody come out and they'd like whack them with a hockey stick. Come out of the bushes,
Yeah,
like sneak attack.
yeah. I heard that's kind of what I heard.
Yeah. And
then that's when they started.
Bryson's dad, I guess, took out a couple of them, and like he got clobbered pretty good, and like everybody got the shit kicked out of them.
Yeah, I heard it was a little
It was super
gnarly.
fucked. Yeah.
So that's fucked up. And then so that was so you meet Lee for the first time. Sorry, I was wondering if Danger Bay 3 was Hicks with sticks. But
No. So it was Danger Bay 3, Lee, and he shows up with his long Lee Danzy stand-up skateboard and independent trucks on it. And on his indies, I looked at him real close. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Lee. Mm-hmm. He had different bushing set up, right? Those were no standard indies. Those were indies that were like set up with a special kingpin for downhill and he had special bushings, and he's gonna say no, you get him on here. He's gonna be like, oh bullshit. Now I saw it. They were not no normal bushings in those indies.
He had special bushings.
He had special indies, and he had a sticker on the back of his trucks. So when he was standing there on the line, he said, "Your trucks suck." Your trucks suck, because he was talking about everybody who run Randalls, right? Reverse kingpin trucks back then, because he was running indies still.
Yeah,
man, Lee.
And I mean,
you know where Lee, you want to know where Lee ended up? With his.
What happened?
He ended up in the hay bales.
Really?
Yeah, I thought, yeah, he did.
I thought you were about to really expose Lee on this one. I was like, well, we could do. Lee's been a lot of places. Which one are we talking about? Yeah, okay. Yeah. And were you on Randalls at the time?
Oh, yeah.
Did you beat him?
Yeah, he ended up in the hay bales.
Nice. God, yeah.
I think I probably got like fifth or sixth on like that
totally
one.
Sounds like Lee just crashed into the hay bales. Probably wobbled off his board and his 30-inch wheelbase.
I really want to know if that was him in that video we saw. I'm pretty sure it was.
It probably was. Well, I mean, too bad he doesn't have social media. Otherwise, we would just tag him in it. But yeah, we can make sure he knows. Well, what does he do? He's old. He probably has a mailbox still. We'll just like
email him. Yeah, oh no, just send him an actual paper mail.
Yeah, we'll send him a
Snail
physical
mail.
hard copy of this podcast where we just talk about how.
Drop him a disc. Oh, but then he won't know what to do with that.
Yeah, he's gonna have to get his daughter.
You have to
Taylor, this disc showed up. How do I play it?
Can you dub that on VHS?
Yeah. Yeah, if you could get this on VHS, Lee can watch it.
Sorry, Lee.
Right up there with all of his Disney
buddy.
movies.
You know I love
you. Lee, we love you, but we wouldn't fuck with you if we didn't love you. And the fact that we never stop fucking with you is based on how much we love you. Like you are our favorite. Except for literally any time he's trying to race me and talk to me about his setup. Then he's my least favorite. Like when he's telling me like, dude, independent's the best. And I'm always just like, yep, you're right, Lee. That's why everybody races them. Everybody on the like main circuit now.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, they all race independents.
They're pretty good on vert.
Yeah, they're great on vert, but like adapting them to like ride downhill and like once you start wedging them and you're like, dude, you just need a long wheelbase. Like, I don't know. They're super good. And I still know people who downhill on indies, but like, I think we've come a long way, and there are some RKP trucks that have really excelled. I mean, they're no like eras, they're great, but they're no bent Randall, and I think that's where you know longboarding really peaked. Is the bent Randall? Like, did you remember when like Jimsy bushings came in black and white?
Yeah,
and it was
I still have a set.
Oh, me too, buddy.
Yeah, I actually almost brought those Comp 2s with the white Jimsies on it just to show you.
We talked about those. That was one of my first. That was one of my first downhill setups. Was Comp 2s. And I remember thinking like I was cool, which was tough because I was not cool just because I had Comp 2s. I thought I was, but
I hate to do it to you.
What's up?
I broke the seal.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd love to get to the point where I can throw a couple of events, but it's tough to find the free time to like sit down and organize. What are you looking for?
Just looking to see if you got another one of those Andy Andersons around here.
Dude. Yeah, if I had an Andy Anderson, you think I'd fucking keep it? I'd sell that thing so fast.
I know. I know there was another one coming in not too long ago.
Dude, I have like 100 of them on back order.
Really?
Oh yeah. Now Powell has been struggling to keep up with manufacturing just because of the fact like skateboarding is 40% more popular than it was before the pandemic, and the ability for the skateboarding industry to produce stuff is about 40% down. So that's super tough. And at the moment, like it's really tough for Powell to make as many flight decks as they'd like just because their manufacturing's kind of down. And the Andy Anderson is, in my opinion, the most popular board that has ever come out in my experience, just because of the fact that like, we can't get them. Like people are buying them for so much money and they're so sick.
Do you understand why?
It's a sick board and it's got a cool shape and it's
That's
super
not
cool.
Why. That's actually not why. They did something. They put. I don't know what he did. Andy did, but he put something in that board, right? Mm-hmm. That allows me to skate the park like I'm like 10 or 12 years younger than I am.
He put
so there's some like magic in there.
He put some Andy Anderson magic, a secret sauce, if you will, into every board.
It's like magnetized to the bottom of my feet when I go to the skate park.
And you like that board?
I love it.
Which
I've
do you have the
never
wide one or
skated-
do you have the narrow one?
I got the big one.
the 9. Nice.
The big
That-
one.
Yeah, my one of the dudes that works here, he's got it, and he's like, "Oh, it's the best." I'm like, "We get it." Like, I'd ride one too, dude. The board's sick, and it looks cool. It's got a great shape. It's I mean, what more do you want?
I could, I'm not much of a,
Trickster guy,
death
but riding
and,
it
No,
around.
I'm not much of a death and devil kind of guy. I could,
Well, I mean-
I could.
Dude, that's Powell Peralta.
I know.
They're like, "We're gonna put a skull on the board." It's like, whoa,
It's a pretty
whoa.
damn cool skull, though, I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool skull. If you have to have a skull on your board, that one's not bad. But it's definitely like there are some other graphics that I really like. One of my favorites is the other skate shop around here, 35th Avenue North. Used to have a bus transfer ticket as the graphic.
That's wicked.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I was like, oh, that's like I can never make shop boards now because I can never come out with a graphic as cool as that. Like, shit, So
That brings back memories. Bus transfers.
bus transfers, yeah. Do you ever do Ballard runs?
Yes.
Yep.
So farmery,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Farm town.
Before he got a car, this guy had this shit on lock. I don't know how, but he figured out the codes.
The codes.
Codes.
What to what?
So there's like a schedule, right, for the transfers, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
like some days they're purple, some days they're pink, some days, right? And I don't know how, but we would be out, and here would come a transfer. We're gonna ride here's your lift ticket. Yeah. He would have like a bunch of them saved from somewhere.
Yep.
All different colors, and somehow he knew today was purple or today was green, and he would be like, "Here's your lift ticket," and he would hand me one, and then I'd give it back to him, And we'd always have like our free reign of our
Yep.
runs, right? And
Were you
so
guys doing
that's
the?
kind of funny that they had that as a graphic. I like that.
Have you ever been to the Ballard one? Is the one that sinks
Yeah.
in my mind. That's the one
That's
that I
the
think
one
is.
that the majority of the time we would go to. You catch it under the bridge there, take it all the way up, and then run through the neighborhoods.
Yep. Catch. I think it's the D line, and you go from like one Safeway to the next Safeway.
Yep.
Dude, the worst part is every run ends in Ballard right next to the bars. So like, dude,
That wasn't-
super easy to catch a brew and then
great.
hop back on the bus and like go up. And then because we were parked at the upper Safeway, this is
Sounds like a good time to me.
I don't want to say this out loud. This is going to definitely incriminate me. But we used to park at the top with the Omen van, and we'd have like, a couple cases of beer in there. We had like 10, 15 people. And then we would all bomb down, go through the neighborhoods, whatever road you do, catch a beer at the bottom, get on the bus, go back up to the top, have a beer at the top, and then like go down again. And so you're doing like 2 beers a run, and all of a sudden people start dropping.
It's like 4 runs.
Oh, dude, if that. We're talking like 3 runs, and like one of my buddies hits a curb, like doesn't see a curb and tries to carve up into a driveway, smacks it with his truck, and literally rips the truck and the mounting hardware off of
Right
his
out of the
board.
pivot. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, you're done. And then like 10 minutes later, one of our buddies is like cruising around and just catches one of those like holes, because Ballard's paved terribly, so you're like bumping around, catches a hole, like breaks the pivot cup out of breaks the pivot pin out of his truck, and that was just super gnarly. And I remember just being like, this is the best, you guys, like we're just gonna keep going. And now we're riding like doubles on one board because one dude doesn't have a board. I'm like, don't worry, we can make it to the bottom, like just stand on the back of my board and I'll stand on the front. And then me and some dude that I just met that evening eat shit, like riding doubles. And then we're like, it's cool, there's a bar at the bottom, like we'll do it. And that's
I remember the first time I skated there, I thought, this is not fast.
it's not downhill.
Steep at all.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I don't know, it just kind of got fun, carving into the driveways and like
The darkness.
darkness.
The darkness. It's like you can go half the speed, and then I always say this, like it's always twice as fast at night. Like some of the fastest downhill skating I've been, as far as like how it feels, is at nighttime when it's dark out.
Have you ever skated at Alpental at night?
Yeah.
I have not.
It's I wouldn't recommend it.
It seems like it'd be real dark unless you had full moon.
Full moon.
Yeah.
I did it during a full moon, and it was like it's really, really fast. And once you get around the wet corner and you go into the woods, Like you kind of had to stop right there because like I'm pretty night blind to begin with, and like that is.
I was gonna say. I mean, it seems like you were dipping in and.
I mean, you can because it was full moon and like the top part's kind of in the thing. Like once you go into like the scar corner, it was a little spooky, but it wasn't as dark as when you get into the bottom. In the bottom, I just couldn't see, and I was like, I gotta stop. But the one that I went to is the best night would be Maryhill.
Yeah, with full moon for sure.
Full moon.
You can see shadows.
You can see everything.
Black pavement, gold sides. It's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, black pavement, gold sides, and then like now that there's the line down the middle, you're just got to keep it somewhat near the mustard.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yep.
all I'm trying to do is just like keep that mustard somewhat near my trucks. Like I don't know where the edge of the roads are, but like that. The other thing that people don't tell you when you go skate that hill at night is like, man, the tailwinds
Oh, they're gnarly at night. Yeah.
ripping. Like the
I want to say some of the fastest runs have been at night.
yes, without the gnarliest runs that I've taken at Maryhill have been like in the middle of the night and just going so fast. Like once again, I might have been inebriated, but there was like one Maryhill where like Sunday morning people were driving through. Like who pendied here? And there's like 5 or 6 pendies, like one before each repeater, and like one before backbreaker and one before ambulance. And it's just like that was me. And like, you don't have to slide at Maryhill, but like, dude, last night was on. It was so windy. The time that we were skating is you had to push all the way through the first little swoop
because you couldn't get enough.
because the headwind was so big. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm
I've had
talking
that
about.
happen before.
Where
Yeah.
you're like, dude, this is extreme. And then like it's crazy because you're not going as fast because when you come out of some of the repeaters, you're back in the headwind. And so like you come out of a repeater and you're going like walking speed. And like you just slightly turn the corner and then boom, you're like back up to full 45 mile an hour, like T-pose carving scared.
My favorite part of that's when you come around from the headwind to the tailwind, and it goes from just like super loud
to
silent.
nothing. Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like when you're coming, you go out of ambulance, you go through that right,
Yep.
and you're smashing that
Right into
headwind,
the wind, yep.
and then you're like, you damn near stop, and then like you take that little left going into repeater 1, and in that like left, it's probably like a 80-degree corner. Like you just
Blowing
start
you into it.
blasting. You were going so
Stand up, you go faster.
stand up, you go faster. Yeah, you've skated Maryhill probably as much as anybody that's been on the podcast. Like, I'm a big fan of like either super big headwind days or super big tailwind days. Like
Only tailwinds for me, thanks.
I like the headwinds because you can sandbag way harder. Like Grom bombing was used to be my favorite thing when like new people used to show up to Maryhill and you like look around and you'd like be on the U-Haul and you'd be like, oh, these two dudes look like they're friends. And they're talking with this guy, and they all have stock bushings. These guys are new. Perfect. I'm gonna wait for
get
them
in
to
on
go.
those guys?
Yeah, and then just go like blast past them, you know, like because that to me was always fun, and it's way easier in the headwind. But like the tailwind is where all the hell breaks loose because you can't get away from anybody, even if you're trying to go slow. Like you're still going the same speed.
You stand up, and it's just like
Vroom.
more. It's just
Yeah.
like gas.
I like it when you're standing up and the person next to you is tucking and you're going the same speed. And you're just like, a lot of work over there, huh, bud? Like, is it really paying off? Like,
That's super fun.
yeah, you very relatable content. What board do you ride now?
Oh, it's I bought it here.
Not an e-skate. Not.
No.
What graphics on the
So-
bottom of it? I could probably help you out with that.
Oh man, it's it's short.
I sold you a short board.
You did. You showed me a pretty short board.
Land Yachts, Pantheon.
Pantheon.
It's that
the
Pantheon.
Yep.
Yep. And you've
that's
got
right.
the green Kevos and the super turny Paris Savants on it.
Yep.
And it is either I think it's the Chase Hiller.
It is the Chase Hiller.
Yeah.
See, I don't know any of this stuff no more.
I just know people based on their boards.
I love the board. It's great.
Super good board. Yeah, Jeff
it's
does a
fun.
great job with those Pantheon boards. I'm super excited to have them in the shop. I mean, I would point to the part on the wall where Pantheon is, but if you can see it, you'll notice there's a hole over here where there's no decks. So that's typically where the Pantheon stuff is. It's currently sold out because it's good. People like it. You'd imagine.
I like it.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. So, like, when do you leave for South Carolina?
Monday.
What? No.
Monday.
And when you'll be back, the first Mary Hill free ride?
No, I'll be back in a couple weeks.
Okay.
I'm gonna go out there, unload all my stuff, and then fly back and deal with my house.
Okay. You're just going to get all the vehicles out there?
Yeah, get stuff.
Dirt bikes.
Dirt bikes, electric skateboards, couch,
The toys. The good stuff. The important
computer,
stuff.
TV, all that good stuff.
That's what I'm talking about. Well,
Dogs.
yeah, you got 2 of them, don't you?
3.
What?
Yeah. So I got Stan and Lola, and then the third one, Tori got about, I don't know, 4 months ago.
What type of dog?
So Stan's a Yorkie, Lola's a mutt. I don't know, she's 13 pounds, a little mutt, and then Drew is a Bernese mountain dog and poodle, Bernedoodle or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Where's this dog at?
So
Where's the big boy?
at my house
Right now?
right now. It's been at my house since January.
Ooh, because I got a big dog too.
Yeah,
I got a really big dog. I got a 9-month-old, 95-pound
that's big.
Pyrenees.
That's really big.
Yeah, he's fucking huge, and it is warm right now. And homie is snowing in our place. Like, you pet him, and it is immediately just like
Has he still got his nuts?
forever. Nah, we took him. Charlie's
good.
nuts are. Yeah. Well, Allison took Charlie down to the. Allison was the one who got him neutered, and so now she's got Charlie's nuts right next to mine on the shelf, which is good because I know my place.
works.
I know my place. It's one of those like, oh, your girlfriend said you're gonna do that. You're gonna leave the session right now because your girlfriend said so. I'm like, fuck yeah, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I'm gonna go see my girlfriend. Like, I love her. She's the best. She puts up with me when I got road rash. I get road rash and all you bastards leave so fast. It's like, you guys aren't going to wipe my butt.
Well, I heard something once that, I'm not married yet, but somebody told me happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, I try my best. I mean, my girlfriend is a saint. She dates arguably the biggest idiot this planet has ever produced. And she's just so nice and puts up with like my longboarding and showing up late every time. Like, it's fundamentally who I am as a person. I'm always late to everything. I plan like shit, and my girlfriend is just like the yin to my yang, and together we
That's good.
we make
So she basically like tells you that you're supposed to be there half an hour sooner than you're supposed to be there, and then
Oh
you're
yeah,
there
no,
on time.
she lies to me actively. She's like, yeah, it's gonna be at like 3:30, and then I show up late. Like, babe, I'm so sorry I'm late. She's like, no, it's cool. It starts at 4. Like, you're 20 minutes early, and I'm just
that's perfect.
like, kind of like, wait, do you like? It's like, yeah, you do know me well enough to know like I do need that immediate buffer, and yeah, and she just, I mean, she's a saint. She works really hard, and you know me, I've got this job, so like, it gets tough when I'm like, oh yeah, super busy day at work, and she's like, work. Like, you play with skateboards all day. Like, you barely work. Like, I actually work. Like, I have to write purchase orders. And I'm just like, yeah, you're right. Like, I watch like 4 hours of skateboarding videos and like talk to people about their skateboards. Like, today wasn't really that hard. So she's the responsible, mature person. She keeps the boat pointed the right direction. And then I'm just the person who.
Sounds like a good team.
It's a good team. Bad dog, though. Really bad dog. He's got a little bit of resource guarding issues because he's a livestock guardian. So he likes to keep his toys to himself, and he does not like to share, whether it's his food or my socks. He likes to steal my socks and refuses to give them back. So like,
You?
oh, yeah, dude.
Really? They're your socks.
He's a 95-pound livestock guardian, and as far as he's concerned, if I try to take that
They're
sock,
his socks.
he's gonna die. Like, he actively thinks he will die if he doesn't keep the sock. So we have to like work with him. So there's a lot of bargaining that goes on in the Blackburn Day house, which is like, he steals like a snowboarding sock, and I'm just like, and I'm like running full speed to the kitchen, like in the refrigerator, like boom, grab a chunk of cheese and like run after my dog. Like, no, I'll trade you. Like, do not rip the snowboard sock up. Like, give him like half a stick of like the string cheese. I'm good to go. If you're hearing this at home, you're like, how could you feed your dog cheese? Like,
Some dogs like cheese.
yeah, dude. First off, he's 95 pounds, and I watched him eat 2 rubber gloves and he was unaffected. Like, I'll feed him anything. Like, once he turns of age, we'll get him on the podcast, get him a couple of these Sierra Nevadas. Because I think he'd be really fun. But yeah, he's a menace. He can fit like 6 or 7 pine cones in his.
Pounds.
He can fit like 6 or 7
He's not
pine
even
cones.
full grown.
No, he's
He's
not.
like 120 pounds.
Yeah, don't tell my girlfriend. She's like, he's only going to be like 100. And like everybody's looking at her like, oh yeah, he's going to be such a good looking 100-pound dog. I'm like, babe, his ass weighs 100 pounds. Like, it's so big. And we took him out skating recently. He did okay. He he's a livestock guardian, so he likes to watch, and he just like checks it out and like, but there's
no pulling.
no, it's not really what he's meant for.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see if he could do it, but like he's kind of, because he has resource guarding and some like biting issues. Sometimes it's like, I don't necessarily know if I want to go to like Green Lake and have my dog pull me around.
Well, you want shoes too, because like it tears the hell out of their feet if they're not used to it.
Yeah, and I'm, there are other activities that I can do with my dog that I think he would enjoy more than pulling. And like the LGD breed, they're like really not. They're like very, as far as dogs go, like a lot of dogs have been trained to respond to humans, and those are very autonomous dogs. They're meant to like do their own things. Like if we're walking and he'll just sit down and be like, no, I don't want to walk anymore. He's 95 pounds, and like it doesn't matter how hard you pull.
No,
like
he's sitting.
It's just if he's sitting on the sidewalk, I'm sitting on the sidewalk, just petting him.
It's
Just
like if we were walking and
go.
I sat down and was like, "That's it, I'm not going anymore, man."
Dude, exactly. Except he's a little bit more stubborn.
Move me.
Yeah, have you ever seen like it's like trying to pick up a bag full of water? Like it's like trying to pick up like a half-filled water bed, trying to get him off the ground when he doesn't want to. He just like spills out, and he's beautiful, but man, everything I own is covered in dog hair. Every meal I eat has dog hair in it right now because he's shedding. He's getting rid of his winter coat, and every snowboard sock that I have
is his.
It's
Yeah.
I love
Drew.
you.
So Drew, the only thing that she really does that bugs me is she likes to stand up, and she wants to stand up, and she wants to hug you. She
gets on her back legs.
She gets on her back legs and she puts her paws on your here and wants to like hug you.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Well, I mean, it's like a very nice thing, but at the same time, like, sure, I want to hug my dog. I want, stand up and give me a hug, but you can't have the dog doing that to people that come over, like,
oh, buddy.
Most people don't want to be hugged by a 50-pound dog.
First off, you don't need those type of people in your life. Like, I tell everybody I meet, I'm like, hey, and they see my dog and I make some jokes like, hey, like, don't look at him. Don't like. I was like, don't look at him.
No eye contact.
Don't look at him. Like he's weird. And people are like, oh, and there's a couple of my friends that have like gotten used to him, but he doesn't care about you. Like Charlie doesn't follow directions really well if he doesn't know you, and he's there to like make sure no wolves attack us. So if he's spooked and he thinks a wolf's going to attack us, he's on high defense alert mode. But some of my friends have gotten really like close and like can pet him and they like him now. Like, I just tell everyone, like, he's a tiger. Like, nope, this is just a very rare form of tiger. He's not a dog. He's not going to, like, do something logically that you would expect. He's just going to, like, wow. And so it's nuts because it's
like a lot, like more, it's almost like like having, like, a wolf hybrid or something.
It's a little bit closer to that. And, like, he's big. And, like, I mean, it's exciting. Like, I love my dog. Do not get me wrong. But, like, there are a lot of things that I've had to change about my life in order to make sure that I don't have to euthanize him because he's a big dog. He has a bite history, and that's pretty stressful when you're like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like he put a tooth into me one time. Like we were dicking around, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get that thing out of his mouth. And he was just like, you want to go? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And he just like flailed around super fast and like got my arm.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, I'm so stupid. Like he's so much better at hurting me than I am hurting him. Like today I watched him rip a tree out of the ground. Like it would have been a tree. It was probably like 10 feet tall, and he just like grabbed it with his mouth and like yanked on it until it came out. And I was like, oh, that's what you do for fun. Like, okay, we do very different things. So I'm loving him.
So I take it you're not going to be bringing this dog to Maryhill.
Oh yeah, no, I'm bringing him to Maryhill. Fuck everybody else. Yeah,
good.
He's got a do not pet vest, and like it's like an output. If you pet my dog, and he's got a do not pet vest, so I'm like, hey. And, I need my space at Maryhill. People come up all the time. Hey, you got wheels to sell? Now I got a bad dog with a do not pet vest on. Be like, give myself a little bubble. All the people that know me, they can come out and hang out. But no, I'm joking. He's really good around places he doesn't want to defend. houses, cars, and the shop. If as long as he's not there, he's good to go because this is his area. This shop is his place to like. He's like, this is mine. Like I've got to defend this yard. Like Mary Hill, he'd probably be pretty cool. He'd probably hate it because he's really warm. So we've got like a bunch of swamp coolers and fans to cool him down. But hopefully you get to see him out there. At some point. I don't really. Yeah, he'll be at the next Mary Hill. We got chains. We'll keep him out. That way people can come and pet him and meet my wonderful dog and never see the bad side of him.
The only sad thing is, I don't know if my dog's ever gonna go to Mary Hill again.
Oh no! Unless you drive out.
Well, I mean, technically, I could fly, and I could put Stan and Lola in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Technically.
That'll happen.
But then, there's the other two, Missy and Lola, or Missy and Drew.
It's tough. It's tough to have favorites. Yeah. I mean, speaking of favorites, you've been one of my favorite people that's been on the show so far. I'm super sad that you're moving away, but I'm really happy to hear all the great stories that come back with you the next time that I see you. And I mean, dude, thank you so much for coming on the podcast tonight.
Thanks for having me, man. It was awesome.
Everybody, Dennis The Menace, Manougian. Sorry, it's here in Nevada.
If you want to say it like Armenian, you could say Manougian. Manougian.
Oh, I like that. Manougian. And then we got Kyle. Thank you for producing.
Hey,
Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah.
No
Skate
problem.
safe, everybody. Wear helmets.
Helmets.